there, and welcome to Comic Book Spectrum for Thursday, February 9th, 2023. We got a lot of stuff to go over tonight. We got reviews. We're going to have some conversation. We got you making comments, whether you're live or on the rerun. We want to hear from you, okay? So let's get started right now. We're going to start with the countdown clock, and we'll be back in about a minute. Stay tuned.
10 seconds.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
How dare you!
And now we just got audio only, it looks like. Anyway, thank you for joining us. This is Comic Book Spectrum for another Thursday night. Hope you have been well. And we've got some stuff we're looking forward to talking about. But anyway, like I said, if you're watching, please tell everyone that you're watching this and share us with other folks on your social media thing, they call it. And as always, we are brought to you by our Patreon supporters, who support the Rising Tide and all that we do. We're grateful for them. And if you want to be one of them, come see what we offer you in return for your support at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. Also brought to you by Rising Tide Publications with a couple of really cool things coming out in the next few months. 10th anniversary edition of Santa Stein, the hardcover, as well as The Terrors that I've been talking about for 2 years now. Yes, we're finally going to do it. And we're also brought to you by Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You know you want to sell that book, so you got to get a great cover for it. That's what Jeffrey Hayes can do for you. He also can design the entire wraparound package, as well as get you some graphics to help sell it on social media, as well as a beautiful book trailer like you just saw. A lot of people employ Plasma Fire Graphics. Contact him at plasmafiregraphics.com and find out why, because he's got indie-friendly creator prices. So check him out at plasmafiregraphics.com. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And speaking of people that matter, I'm getting off of here because I got other people to share the screen with. The ones and onlys, Clyde Hall, Eric S. Hawkins, and Jody McFee. Guys, how you doing tonight? Excellent. Glad to hear it. That's super.
We're windswept. We're windswept.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was up but not blowing in the wind.
No, we're
I don't know. We're both this morning. We were both.
Yeah, I had a moment this afternoon where the winds were ramping up here in central Indiana. I could feel it through the floorboards of the house. That was exciting. Mm-hmm. But anyway,
Did you stand there in your underwear like Marilyn Monroe and catching the breeze?
Oh, I forgot my underwear. I'm sorry. But I'll send you the pictures, however, because it's pretty cool. First time you've complained. But anyway, no, we had a rather large wind storm blow through the Midwest, and Mr. Rodman is valiantly holding it back from northern Kentucky. That's why he's not here tonight. He's got his hands out and he's holding that weather front back. So anyway, we have got a show to put on, I hear. And we've also got comments. Almost time. I wonder how late BKM will be. Well, now you know. Actually, I got here just in time. Just barely in time. It's just that we start gabbing as usual, so I know no one's denying that. And thank you, Eric. I got here with 5 minutes to spare. It's like the never mind the furthermore days when I'd get here with like 1 minute, I'd still be on time. So, and yeah. And hello, Carl Winston. Hello, Donna, Carly, Carlene, and Indiana's exactly 54 minutes ahead of us, not an hour as most people would believe. Okay. And or maybe it's an hour and 3 minutes ahead. My head hurts. Mine does too now. And my computer's at 3.5 minutes. I'd still give it to Eric's prediction. And StreamYard is misbehaving. Did you notice how we had like only audio a couple times? And I'm clicking right where I'm supposed to be, and it's just giving me audio. So I'm not taking any blame for it. And Don Duelis, yo, sup, y'all? Mwah! Hello to you, darling. And Lissy, you're never late. We were just waiting on you. How you doing? And hello to you tonight. And that gets our comments out of the way. So please leave more comments as the show progresses. We'll try to get to as many as we can. And
like us, share us. Show love
do
to us.
And subscribe.
Share us sparingly,
yeah.
liberally, but yet sparingly.
Yeah, exactly what Joe said. Anyway, oh god. Anyway, so I guess we could start doing reviews right now if you'd like. Oh yeah, I'm excited too. Ooh. Anyway, yes, Eric. Oh, that's right. I'll go. Yeah, Eric.
Calm down, Horshack.
Oh God, I know I didn't do it that often. Anyway, we'll start with Eric since he said it first.
And you got rid of him. Great.
That's for that 3-minute remark. Anyway, I have the power. Anyway, here's Eric with a review, and I'll just sit here and shut up.
Guess what I picked up this week?
Is it
Gospel
curable?
3.
Gospel 4.
4.
And we're not going to review it, though.
Oh.
I'm only not going to review it because I did look through it. I didn't read it, but the story looked a little better this time. But there's still the devil wasn't in this one, so I don't know if he's two midgets dressing up as the devil yet or not. That's what I'm waiting for. So now they got me issue 5, I guess. Only because it shows a preview of issue 5 and the devil is on that cover. I picked up something else and put my glasses on, otherwise I won't be able to read. And I didn't even know it was coming out. It struck me because it's got my name all over it. So it's Netflix's Stranger Things Tales from Hawkins. Welcome to Hawkins.
Ah.
Stranger Thing?
Yeah, Stranger Things. So this is obviously one of the reasons I like the show, because it was set in Hawkins, Indiana. So this is a 1 of 4, and it's from the Dark Horse. $3.99. This is cover B. I didn't see cover A. This is the only one they had. But it's got the Robin on the cover over here. The guy who's all paranoid about stuff there. And it looks like 11 down there and 2 hunt. Oh, I don't know who those 2 guys. Those guys might be the hunters in the book. And there's Will. And Demogorgon. Demogorgon right there. And the story is basically about 2 hunters in the woods. It's set during the first season of Stranger Things. It's 2 guys just going through the woods, drinking some beer, hunting. And when you read everything, they usually don't get anything. They just out there just to have fun with each other and have some beers early in the morning. They never kill anything. But they run across blood. Then they run across I don't know what kind of animal it was. But it had, it was a turkey? Might be a turkey. So then they try to find what did it, because it could have been a bear, could have been a bobcat. They might be in danger. Of course, it's not any of those things. It's a Demogorgon.
Not a full Gorgon?
No, just a Demogorgon.
Semi-Gorgon?
Hemi Demi Semi Gorgon.
And the art is really good in the book. The art, the pacing of the story is really good. The story is good. Now, the only thing I didn't like about the art was
Everything.
no. There's only one thing. It's a nitpick, and I was just. You see how tiny that rifle barrel is right there on the back.
Is this a size
How
envy
far
kind of
back
thing?
is that rifle barrel? That looks like the rifle barrel's in a distance, not
It's like an
right off the
antenna.
bat.
Yeah,
No
it's
kidding.
on his shoulder. Both of them. It's on their shoulders. But the rifle, I mean, I got a pellet rifle. It's got a bigger barrel than that on it.
It looks like an antenna for a old style
Yeah.
walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
That's what I was like. What is that? Why did they draw a line there? I was like, oh, that's the rifle barrel. And the barrel does get that rifle is just way too small. I think this one here. I think that's just too small. Should be longer.
Wait. Is it glare there? Okay.
Yeah, right there. That one.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think it just.
They just didn't make the barrel long enough. The actual barrel, the actual stock is the right size. The barrel is just short. It's like snug.
Unless these guys are WWF athletes that are like, 6'11" or and everything looks like toys in their hands. No, I think not.
But this panel shows you how serious this is going to get.
Ooh.
They're going to go off and find whatever killed the turkey there, and they left their beers behind.
Oh.
And I'm thinking they're drinking Schlitz. That means they have no regard for human life.
You do have so this is set in the first season, probably in the first couple of episodes, because it's right after 11 shows up in town after she went to the diner and tried to steal some food, and some stuff happened there. Because they talk about some guys getting killed there at the diner, so I that's how I knew where it was. But they end up in the Upside Down themselves, and they do find Will in there. So Will does do a little guest appearance, but that's about it. It kind of ends abruptly, and I'm going to guess it's just going to be a complete story. There's no continuation. It just they're there. They're gone. The thing this is really, really, really missing, because it's a good story, but it doesn't give you that Stranger Things vibe. You don't have the 80s nostalgia to it. That is seriously missing. If you didn't know it was Stranger Things, you would know it was set in the 80s. You would have no idea at all. Unless I don't remember rifles being that small in the 80s. Maybe that's why. But yeah, that's what it's really missing. I mean, I thought it was a cool story of two guys hunting and running into a creature in the woods. And that's about what it was, because it is really missing the Stranger Things vibe.
It wouldn't take much to, a little bit of dialogue that talks about something from that era.
Yeah.
Wouldn't take much.
No, it wouldn't. But they mentioned things that happen in town. But unless you knew the show, that's the only reason you know those things happen in town. But yeah, they could have done something. I don't know. They could have drove up in a Trans Am or something, hopped out and started hunting. Had mullets. I don't know. Listen to Michael Jackson on the radio. It's a really good story, but it's not really didn't really seem like a Stranger Things story, other than the Demogorgon, but it could have been any kind of creature in the woods. So I'm kind of tossed up what to give it. I liked reading it. The art was good, and it just I gotta give it like a 6.
Oh,
yeah.
Ouch.
Only because it just doesn't really connect to Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
To me,
And for small guns.
yeah, and small
armament.
guns. Yeah, I mean,
All guns. And again, your 6 is like most other people's like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
well, I mean, the story is really good. I mean, it's a good story. It's well written, and the panel, some of them are really beautiful, and it's drawn really nicely. It just didn't give me a vibe. It was in Hawkins, Indiana. That it didn't seem like that universe.
Who's the creative team on it?
It was, I believe it was.
Watch it be Cullen Bunn.
It was not Cullen Bunn. It was not Cullen Bunn.
Because he bought it.
Oh, no, it's Cullen Bunn and Mike McNullen. No.
Is that Brian Rodman I hear crying?
It was a script by Jody Hauser.
Oh.
Art by, I guess it's Child Felipe. Colors by Dan Jackson. And Nate Piccios did the letters, which I think he does a lot of the Dark Horse titles letters.
Yeah.
Because he's the guy who owns Blambot, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, some of the panels are really nice. I really like them. I mean, there's one. One's really simple here. Let me show that one real quick.
Jody Hauser usually turns in a good script.
Oh God, yeah. She was doing some great Supergirls before it got canceled, and she's got a run on Doctor Who now that they, even if you're not a Whovian, you can get right into the story and get into it. That's surprising that she turned in a script like that.
So this panel is really simple, but I like the way it's drawn, and it's because the one guy, he's already been taken to the other side, to the upside down, and the other guy just gets taken. So it's just a panel. It's just a panel of the woods, just all still. Gosh, come on, hit the focus. There we go.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh yeah.
Just some silhouette trees and the grass and just some leaves blowing. It just a really simple panel. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. But it doesn't sync up to the Stranger Things universe.
Mm-hmm.
And when I've read Hauser before, it's always been over a series, like a mini series or something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the standalone one thing is like a lot of story. I don't have a lot of space to tell it. I gotta hurry it along, and maybe didn't have as much detail as
No, it could be. Yeah.
would have liked. But
yeah. Now, as someone who doesn't watch Stranger Things, I am that one. Did they use characters from the show?
Will is in the end of it, and that's about it. They do mention a diner, Benny's Diner, where people get killed at. Will is taken in the beginning of the show to the Upside Down. Mm. So he's kind of like, I guess, if you want to put it in an ET perspective, he's Elliot.
Yeah.
And he's really not in the show. He's always in the Upside Down, but they're trying to find Will.
Okay.
When they go to the Upside Down, there's some panels with Will in it as the other guys are, whatever's happening to them. But that's about it. It just really didn't connect. I'll pick it up, see what the next issue is. I'm going to guess. With modern trends, it's probably be a total different creative team.
Oh, that's a shame. Oh well, they can't all be gems.
That's better than a Colin Bunn book.
That's damning with faint praise. Anyway, thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
Hey, we have some comments, of course. Donna Carlene says, should be longer. That's what she said. And Carl said, I'm sure those cans were emptied. No, if they were Schlitz, they were probably just poured out without any concern for the grass underneath, okay? And Parallax Spectrum, what? Schaefer or GTFO best man? Hey, I'm a Guinness guy poured from the tap, okay? And howdy to you and A-Team Van. Hey, that'll work out. Hey, Grant Lankard, good to see you, my friend. Hope you are doing well tonight. Everyone's saying hello, hello, hello. And we'll get to know Parallax. Leia's a great lady. You'll love her. And I don't want you to see, Leia, this is why you and I get along.
I don't know anything about it. I haven't watched the episode of Stranger Things, so.
3 of us. There we go. We're the only 3 people in the universe, but
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good show. I mean, I feel like I know some people that felt like it didn't give you the sense of the 80s and this nostalgia, but it did for me.
Oh yeah,
I think that's what I really liked about it.
Yeah.
When you sing songs from the Never-Ending Story, brings some feels with it. I'm telling you.
That's true.
And I'll tell you what, since this is going to be the last season coming out, something else is coming. Umbrella Academy is going to be their last season on Netflix. And then I guess Sweet Tooth is going to come out soon because they're done filming. I might just get rid of Netflix.
Yeah.
I think I'm about done.
I would say, yeah. And was it Doom Patrol? Well, Doom Patrol's not on Netflix, is it?
No,
HBO Max.
Max.
I don't get any of them, so. Disney may get me if they, when they start Doctor Who again, but that may be it. And we're joined now by Nicholas Anthony Tockert of Nevermind the Furthermore. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Had a great show Wednesday with Women in Publishing. That was really, really excellent, and that was a super episode. Way to go, Nick. But anyway, check him out Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. on the Nicholas Tockert or the Historical Fencing Guild. I blanked down the name for a second. He also has a great show on Friday nights at 8 p.m. with the Historical Fencing Guild. Do check that out, where you can learn to kill all your friends and neighbors safely. And we can start a stranger.
Nick's been drawing at night too, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he has. He's been doing some illustrations. Yeah. He's a fine artist. Yeah. And we can start a Stranger Things Non-Watchers Club. There we go. And we are well, Facebook users. How the heck are you? Glad to see you here. And thank you, Donna. Thank you. Anyway, so there's that. So, Joe, did you want to go next?
Yeah, I could go next. I'm somewhat prepared, and I'm not certain how I'm going to grade this book, but it is what it is.
Give it a 6.
Yeah, tear it up, put it through the shredder, and then have it slabbed.
Oh, I do have two shredders here, but it's not shred worthy.
Oh man!
It's not even worth shredding. Oh my gosh! It's
no, it's not that bad to be
shredded. Okay.
It's not that bad to be shredded. It's just more along the lines. If I was editing this book, there would be a lot of changes.
Okay. Well, we got a last minute flurry here of comments. One, Jennifer Hawkins has said, cancel Netflix. I'm not sure about that. I watch series, sir. And Grant Laker says, Nick was the latest victim of my creator spotlight in my newsletter. Yeah, I saw the newsletter. Brand new newsletter came out from Grant. It's got a preview of Beowulf #5 in it, so you want to check it out. And Stranger Things was a TV show, I assume. Yes, it was. It is. It still is, at least for one more season. Amazon Prime is where to go. The shipping savings make up for it. Well, there you go. And it's not your left hand, Carl. Okay, we're running away from that comment right there. So, Joe, restore some class to this show, will you?
I will try to, because as voted by you, the people who are there in the crowd for this week, we are doing Asa the Barb 2. So this was the winner for this week here. Now, I did issue #1. And I'm not going to go back over what had happened in issue #1, but the long and short of it is, if you've been paying attention to our show, you pretty much know what I said here. And even issue #1, it was kind of like hit or miss. Issue 2 really spurred my expectation for the rest of this series, and I'm not certain if this is going to be one of those things that is, how can I put it? I got some editing bones to pick. That's pretty much what I'm going to say here. So if you want to see the full review of Asa the Barb issue #1, if you're watching it on the replay, hit pause right now, go back a couple of weeks, look at it, and then come back. But Asa the Barb, issue #2 by Pat Shan, Rio Burton, and Jim Campbell. I believe that is creator, artist, and letterer, all right back to back. This issue actually starts off, continuing off where issue #1 left off. And quick replay, we finally get to know the main character, Asa, for a little bit. We know that there was a big to do with her family, like her little sister was getting either married or was in some type of courtship ritual where she is now betrothed to some other individual and whatnot. She made her appearance, and then when she was on her way back to her keep, an entity was there. She engaged it, and pretty much it leaves off there. So we have Asa actually waking up in what she thinks is another person's body. So she finally wakes up, and we see what we know as her in real life on her means of transportation, heading out there and about around with her family. So she don't know where she is. She just knows that she's somewhere nearby her ruined compound, and she's walking and she's walking and she's walking. And this is where she starts hearing voices and whatnot. And all of a sudden, this water just appears, and she looks in the water and she sees that she looks different. And then we get another spirit coming back. And like I said, this is the beginning of where I would be, as an editor, kind of like cringing a bit, but I'm going to let it ride for right now. So we got this one wolf spirit kind of talking to her, and it's like, and she knows the spirit. She called the spirit by name, by the name of Karka, and Karka is kind of like a spirit of death, and she thinks that she's dead, but the spirit is telling her, no, you're not. It's like, this is your actual real body and whatnot, and the curse marks that you have for being the barb is something completely different. So the spirit surrounds her by water, and it looks like she gets chomped to death, but it really wasn't. And what he does is bring her to like the spirit world. And they had like this whole real big conversation where, even though she's up here talking, it's really her spirit that's really communicating back with the spirit entity that is Karka. So this whole thing comes back down to, her kind of like understanding what her true destiny and getting her prepared to face what's really coming, about to get ready to happen. And he was like, look, my job here is not to be satisfied or to be pleased. I'm just here to help you understand what's really coming down the pike. But yet at the same time, I really don't give a rat's ass. And I was like, okay, what's the whole purpose of the conversation then, if that's the case? So then it flashed back to whatever this entity really is in her actual form that most people know her up under. And she's enjoying the family and whatnot. However, this one elder is kind of like looking, and it's like, she kind of,
Do we have a freeze here?
Oh, no, he's playing fine for me. I don't know what you're talking about, Brian.
Okay, cool.
No, I'm kidding.
Huh? Joe, if you can hear me, log out and come back in. Or we'll just sit here and stare. Hi, Joe.
See if we can make out the dialogue on that page.
Yeah, really, yeah. Yeah, I hate the art on this book. It sucks.
There we
Oh
go.
my God,
There it
it's
is.
blurry.
there we go. So pretty much, while all the celebration is going on, whatever this entity is, she goes into this one chamber and whatnot. She got the guards to like let her in, and then she started absorbing whatever evil forces is buried up under this one symbol and everything. And you get to see that she's like literally powering up and everything. And by the time, the elder gets there with her brother, it's too late. She's already reached her maximum power and everything. And then it's just back to whatever spirit world that the real Asa is there. And she's kind of like seeing visions of what could be happening in the future and all this other stuff. And the whole purpose of her curse mark and everything, and how it's so important about her understanding about everything that has transpired. And they put her through, it looks like some type of weird trial and everything. And, next thing you know, it's like, now here she's back talking with the same spirit. And then she gets put right back into like the deep focus of what she's, what her mission is about, what her destiny is about. However, back at dealing with her family, whatever this thing is pretty much mopping the floor with everybody. And boom, the entity is at full power and pretty much about to get ready to wreak havoc in whatever kingdom that she's from. Long story short, story-wise, it could be better. I just feel that things are not being explained. You're going on a ride where you don't really understand exactly what's truly happening or how to really take what it's being stated. From issue number 1, it's like, okay, you have a character that comes off as unlikable. And we don't know why, people are treating her as such, in such a way, other than the fact that she has these cursed marks. Until we get into issue 2, where it somewhat get explained, but it's not getting explained to the point where you feel for the individual as of yet. I mean, she's kind of like not understanding half of the stuff that this so-called spirit being is trying to show her, while at the same time, whatever entity that took over her body is just running amok for no apparent reason. We have no motivation of why this entity took her form and doing what they're doing. I mean, we're missing like major pieces of the puzzle for this story. It's just almost like you're going for a ride. And me as a publisher / editor, I would have been like, whoa, slow down. You have to make this stuff clear. Maybe you do it later on. I don't know, but I always state in the first couple of issues, you have to make things clear to get people hooked. And to me, I'm not a person that gets hooked up on action. And trust me, there's a lot of action up in here per se for story purposes. And you get to see a lot of, action sequences that may keep a lot of people who don't really read for story interested. But a person like myself, I would have been like, I'm done with this, because it's not the threads of the story is not weaving together to make sense. It made me wonder how they're going to deal with everything by like issue 4 or 5. I do have issue 3 of this, and I have not read issue 3, but it got to start somewhere where things are getting, bridged back together to make the story work. As of right now, it's just like none of this stuff is making any sense. And the fact that that this entity separated her from her natural state doesn't make any sense. So with that being stated, I give As of the Barb issue number 2 a 4 out of 10. And I give it a 4 out of 10 just for those reasons. It just seems like issue 2 took me further away from enjoying the overall story as opposed to bringing me into it than anything else. Like I said, this could be just how I look at stories and how I enjoy stories. Maybe it may be different for you, but for me, everything that was done here to kind of explain what was going on took me right out of it. And it's not concrete enough as far as what am I really reading. It's not making me like the main character. We need something to kind of pull us back in to root for Asa in some form or some fashion, because Asa right now, she's just some generic character that's going on some psychedelic, vision quest, if I could say in that aspect. And the vision quest doesn't make any sense. But like I said, that's just me. And there you have
vision quests aren't supposed to make sense.
Actually, it does.
Well, then it fits into that great tradition.
The person who goes on it.
There you go. There you go.
And that's the thing. We don't know this individual well enough to kind of get an idea of where what's really going on. Why is she being forced this way?
And that's a shame, because the first issue sounded like they had a web of intrigue that was really very engaging, and then we got out of it.
We got out real quick because it was just almost as if her journey started off as whatever Karka is, as far as deity wise. It's like, I don't, and whenever that major pivotal character say, I don't care either way. You're not here to, to feed into my desires, and I don't care if they live or die. You can do whatever. That's like, then what's the whole purpose?
Yeah.
Why is she here? Why are you speaking to her?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, does that book have an editor, or is it all just like a one-man show there?
No, it says that the editor is Melissa White
Okay.
at Scout Comics.
Okay. Let's.
So, and to be fair, it's like it has some great visuals. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, they do. Well, that gets back into our topic for later on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we have a topic, folks, and it's going to be a good one. Y'all need to stick around.
So it's not the artwork. It's not anything. It's just, for me, editing wise, you're not bringing readers fully into the story as of yet.
Yeah.
And it would be a shame that people drop off before you get to the good part of the story, or the part of the story where people start understanding what's really going on.
Yeah. Well, some of these companies, and I've heard Scout may be one of them, they take prepackaged stuff. The artist and the writer and everybody has to be on board, and you present it to the company, and then they in turn print it. It's kind of like Image in a way. But, but it doesn't sound like there's much editorial oversight here, like you said, Joe. That surely somebody would have looked at the script and said, well, what about all this stuff you were leading up to in the first issue? How does this get us any closer to that? There are very few good editors in comics these days, unfortunately. Eric's the only one that gets the really good editing, I think.
I honestly don't know if there are really editors in comics anymore. I think they just have a title, and that's about it.
They seem more like traffic managers, don't they?
Yeah.
Just basically get the work out and get it to the printer. So,
and that's a shame.
Yeah,
and that's a shame, because even the person who edits me, because I'm not my own editor.
Good man.
I'm not my own editor. She will break down stories and be like, this doesn't make sense. Or average person would not talk this way. They would talk that way.
Yeah.
And it makes you rethink about certain things. Even after I write a script and all this other stuff, if she catches it, it's something to be paid attention to.
Yeah. And better her pay attention, catch it, than the reader. Because otherwise they're going to wind up with a review like Joe just gave you. So... So anyway, thank you, Joe. Thank you very much, my friend. And we have some more comments. The aforementioned Nicholas Anthony Tucker says, I try not to plug much, but I do need to say the campaign with the Hybrids role-playing game will be launching next week at hybridsrpg.com. Sorry, we don't have time to talk about any sort of promotion here, Nick, so we're not doing any promotion at all. So definitely go to that site there when we're not here, when we're not doing promotion. Anyway, Teresa Dunn showed up. Good evening, all. How the heck are y'all? We are well, Teresa. Glad to have you here. Everyone's saying hello to her. And Nick Tucker says, the spirits have taken Joe D. McFee. When you were frozen, I'm glad Joe escaped his time frozen stasis cube. And hello to you, Facebook user. Glad to have you here. Yep. So I'll do something real quick. I've just got a couple items here. And then we'll go to Clyde. And one thing I want to do is give you an update on the Amy Hale campaign. I know it's not comics, my show, don't care. Anyway, we are over $2,500 now, but we have a long way to go. So please check out this site here if you want to learn more about what's going on with Amy and John Hale. And please give generously, and thank you to everyone who has donated so far. And they definitely appreciate it, and so do I. Now, thinking of the things I appreciate, one, we did get some comics in this week, even with my truncated subscription list. One of them was I got it here on Comixology, The Avengers: War Across Time, with full art by Alan Davis. And if that Paul Levitz fellow sounds familiar, he's the former publisher at DC Comics. And by the way, I think it's a prisoner exchange program, but Joe Quesada is doing covers for DC now. So anyway, this is a pretty good book. Also got the Monkey Prince number 11, next to last issue. It ramps up from there. It is really, really good. Then we also got the Archie's Valentine Spectacular. And we got this. We'll see how good. I have not read it yet. But if you've gone to our website, our page on Facebook, Comic Book Spectrum, we've been doing reviews every day this week. I'm very proud of me. And some of the reviews for the Lazarus Planet tie-ins has not been kind, and there was a little bit of controversy about it a couple weeks ago on Bleeding Cool. Now, something that was good was Miracle Man: The Silver Age, a story by Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham. And what's really cool is there is a reprint of the Silver Age Young Marvel Man, with the origin of Young Nasty Man in there, so you can see some genuine British comics. Then I got this one. This is an awesome book. This is really fun. I don't know if I can review it though, because I'm personally vested in it. So, but it's definitely worth your while. Check out Stone Door Studios on Facebook, and also this one came in Retro Fan. It has an article not only on the Fleischer Brothers Superman, but also the '60s Filmation series. And we're going to party like it's Space 1999. And there is an exclusive interview with Linda Day George of Mission Impossible, and all kinds of wonderful things in here. Including the Bob Hope and Jerry Lewis comic books from DC, TV commercial jingles, and Why I Love the Monkeys. Okay, and we're not talking about the Anthropoids. We're talking about the Prefab Four. So anyway, check those out. We will be posting reviews for those on the Facebook page. I'll be writing them. So please check them out. Check out the page every day. We're trying to put something up new every day that you'll enjoy. All right, and so that's all for me. Pretty much. And it's Amy Hale not showing my name tonight. Yeah, it does that sometimes, Amy. And I'm glad I promoted the campaign then. So you can hear the joy in Amy's voice as she types.
Perfect timing
tonight. Yeah, really. And BCam, is that a photo of Patrick Troughton behind you? Yes, it is. It's also autographed. Yes. If I can pull it off the apparently the security is very good here. But actually, we'll show you full screen here. The signature is kind of faded a little. You can't see it. But yes, that is the second Doctor there. I got that when I see you talk about volunteer opportunities. Check with your local public broadcasting station, because they have a variety of tasks, such as mailings and such, that you can assist with. But check with your local public broadcasting station, see what kind of opportunity. I'll get that when I'm not on the air.
I always thought that was Mo Howard.
Well, close enough. Same thing, Time Lord. So, but no, there are various opportunities. But no, I volunteered for the one in Champaign-Urbana, WILL AM FM TV. And my first day there, they said, we're going to clean out the thank you gift room. And they said, well, this person didn't pick up this picture. Do you know who this is? I'm like, yeah. Would you like it?
Yeah.
So that's been my proud possession ever since. And this is about 1985 or so. So I've had this quite a while. But that's where I got that. That is my Patrick Troughton picture. And Nick Tucker says, I have been in training for that 6-hour broadcast. That's right. That's right. Remember, folks, for every $1,000 that Amy gets through either the GoFundMe or personal donation to her, we're counting what she gets too, because she just landed a huge formatting job. And so I am honoring that money. So for every $1,000 that is raised between the two, I will do 1 hour of Clever Title Pending. And I owe you guys 2 of them right now. We're going to get them on the air soon. And when we make the $30,000 goal, I'll not only do an hour for the 30,000, I'll do a special 6-hour episode where I will probably die on the air. And Carl Witzman has said he will not, Pinky swore that he will not come save me. So anyway, that'll be good. And review it.
I will add that to Comic Book Phone on our Facebook grouping here, so it can be voted on if you really want Zombie for World of Oz reviewed.
Yeah, and it would actually be better from Joe, because I am the editor, so it's kind of like I don't know. This could be a lot better. I don't know who edited this POS, but after we've been bitching about editors, that would be very disingenuous of me. So anyway, Zombieful Adventures was good, and there's some interesting characters in there.
Of all my friends I included, they all lived, but one.
Dun, dun, dun.
I understand, and I understand it. I know the guy who didn't live. He was an a-hole. Because the funny thing was, when I edited, I didn't really realize who that was, because I was looking at the lettering mostly and the flow of the story. I didn't realize who that was, and he deserved it. He deserved it. So now y'all got to buy Zombieful Adventures #1. It's a spinoff of the great Zombieful World of Oz, and I'm saying that without reservation. So sweet, yeah. And hello, Matthew. You're a young YA urban fantasy author. Your first book released July 3rd. Well, congratulations and good luck with that book. Excellent, excellent. We're glad to hear that. Parallax Spectre says, I have autographs of Doctors 4 through 11, including the War Doctor and Morrissey as the next Doctor. Cool. I've loved Morrissey. He was great in The Smiths. Anyway, BKM, I can't review that book. I'm the editor. I've never read it. Oh, man, I'm qualified then. I can. And friends, he killed his wife.
Just because your head's in a cabinet in issue 3 of the Zombieful World of Oz on the last page does not mean you're dead. Your
Not in the zombie world.
No.
You said issue 3, right? You said issue 3.
Yeah, issue 3, the last page. She's
You have to think about that issue. It's like, yeah, she's not dead by no means whatsoever. considering the theme of that story that was in issue 3, dealing with the Tin Man.
Actually, I'm working on a drawing of Queen Langwidere right now. Dorothy and Scarecrow at her dinner table.
There we go. There we go. And so if he kills you in Zombieful World of Oz, you are blessed. There we go. Well, and the person who got killed.
Does that mean that you come back as a zombie, though?
That's true. That means you're a regular. You could get graduated to a regular, but since you're dead, you don't get paid anymore.
Her head is just in a cabinet with a bunch of other heads. So she wasn't bit by a zombie. Her head was just detached from her body because Queen Langwidere likes to put on different heads on her body and wears them around.
There's a joke there about head that I'm not going to do. Anyway, but yeah, there is the thing
so-called head, the so-called head that he's talking about.
Yeah, there we go.
Be right between the Prince Langwidere and her holding the other head. Yeah, Jennifer's right there. Along with, I think, Selma Hayek's in there, and there's Gal Gadot's in there.
Yeah. That I'm really walking away from that joke I was going to make then. Anyway. And Carl Whitson. Wow. And Carl should talk because he's also in there too. And Jennifer says, BKM never noticed he is looking now. I was looking at the words. That's my job. And quit while you're ahead. Thank you, Leia. But definitely go to Stormdoor Studios and definitely pick up a copy of this brand new book, Zombieful Adventures. And I speak not as its editor, but as its fan. This is a super, super book. It is a great read. Oh, Eric, seriously, Eric, you've done it.
And like I said, I will add it to comic book phones because I can go ahead and review it.
And it's got gingers in there just for Carl.
Yeah,
it does. It does. And let's see. And did BKM just open the door for my comment? Yeah, I guess so. If I don't, you can. And all his women, says Jennifer Hawkins. Oh, but you're number one, I'm sure. Anyway.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. So anyway, Carl Witzman. Yep, love the gingers, says Carl. I can hear him say that now. So anyway, enough about other Spice Girls, Ginger, Scary and all. We are now moving up to the gold standard Spice, and that would be Clyde Hall. So Clyde, yay, take it over, buddy.
Well, this was a very, very thin week for comics for me. So one of my top 5 reads actually was this one.
Oh yeah,
old school Charlton. Okay.
Oh God, yeah.
Just because, it's got Ditko. It has 3 very nice spooky stories, and it was a very good example of how, as a young reader, I could just make leaps of suspension of disbelief because it doesn't always explain. It's a product of a Charlton editor and creative team, and even though some of the artists were really good, most of the time the scripts were somewhat bare in details or assumptions that are conclusions. Lots of exercise jumping to conclusions by the main characters in these stories, but it was still a nice walk down memory lane. So I included it.
Can I give you a clue as to why some of the stories did not make sense from the first half to the end?
Well, I just figured, blame Charlton, but go ahead.
No. Well, you can, because I don't think I'm not going to say his name on the air, but one of the writers who was on staff there would drink his lunch. And so it wasn't uncommon for you to get a script from him in the morning where on page 1 he's called Steve, but by page 4 he's now called Mike.
So let's see here. I don't mind saying their names. We got, this is a 1973 issue. So we got editor George Wildman.
Yeah.
And writer Joe Gill. And
that could be him.
Okay. But it was well, also, you just can't beat the vintage ads.
Oh God, no.
Gain weight.
Yeah. I answered that ad and look what happened to me. So
I'm look.
Roman soldiers.
132 Roman soldiers.
Holy cow, try feeding them all.
Yeah.
Well, I always loved Charlton for that reason. And the thing is, they paid the worst rates in the industry at the time.
Yep.
But they also got some of the best work. I mean, Steve Ditko was with them for decades, even while he was working for Marvel and DC. And a lot of those guys did move on. Joe Gill worked for DC and Marvel. Nick Cuddy was an editor at DC for a while when the filmmaking. And a lot of people got their start there, like Paul Kupperberg, Mike Pulowski, Mike Zeck, Don Newton.
It was a foot in the door for a lot of people.
Yeah, Bob Layden.
And we also had, now this is interesting, Pat Boyette decided to do the layout of the comic this way for his story. And Pat Boyette is also one of the talents.
He stole that from Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, I think if there's any theft, we know exactly who the.
Clyde, that book looks like it smells really good too.
Well, it does. It does. It has the pulpy goodness of old comics. So,
and if you're a fan of Pat Boyette,
there you go.
Hashtag always promote.
Yes. New comics. This was a mixed bag. Of Space Job. The first half is a really clever bait and switch. The second half is, what if somebody ran a small starship a la Star Trek, like a box store with bad management? And just, I don't know. I think that it would appeal to, that second part would appeal to a lot of younger workers. It kind of left me cold because the first part was clever and funny. Second half was more like complain. I want out of here. So
that is like big box then.
I know it's retail merchants in space, but under a military kind of banner. I don't know. It was the second half felt odd. First part was really good though.
Maybe the writer drank his lunch too.
I don't know. It was well written. It kind of had two vibes to it, and the transition between the two was not as smooth as it could have been, but it wasn't a bad read. Second issue of Spy Superb. These are expensive little books, but I do like the story. You got a guy who makes the best spy in the world. The guy who doesn't realize he's a spy, but thinks he would be a wonderful one. Okay. He's a pawn of all the other spy organizations. And it's kind of a cross between, the movie Top Secret and The Man with One Red Shoe.
Oh, okay.
Kind of a weird blend like that. I don't know where it's going. I wasn't going to get the second issue, but the first one sold me enough that I thought, I want to see this poor schlub, is marked for death, and he kills the first squad that comes after him by complete happenstance. And then he figures out why they're after him and decides, yes, I would be prime spy material. Yes, I can do this. And runs into the next assassin sent to get him because he has the phone of a real spy. And everybody's after this phone with names and stuff on it. And she understands, it's like, you're a useful idiot. I think I'll let you live. So he's just kind of working his way through the ranks.
That's what Cookie told me once.
Monarch #1. That was a fun little book. It is kind of like aliens come and take over the world, and these kids, a small group of kids, have survived by hiding. Sort of like an Earthbound Newt from Aliens. It's like, how do they go about surviving? It's a real. The first few pages before the aliens get here, you're like, wow, this kid has a very realistic kind of life. It makes a really good picture of how being in a foster home is for a lot of kids. And then the aliens come. So you got a very real world setting. And then all of a sudden, the advent of aliens raining havoc down on everybody. So, but my review this week is Dark Horse, Where Monsters Lie. If you have been watching the show for a while, you'll remember the name Kyle Starks, because he wrote a little book for Image in 2021, 2022 called The Six Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton. And yeah, and he was his script for that nostalgic action adventure cult of celebrity kind of show was snarky and irreverent and funny as hell and very creative and quirky. He became one of my favorite new quirky writers. And then he did also for Image, he did I Hate This Place, or depending on what cover you chose, F This Place. And that was a horror story. No humor. It was just all straightforward horror. And I followed every issue, but it didn't catch me like Trigger Keaton did. I missed the sense of humor. He tried to do pure horror, and I guess you're getting another series of it, but it didn't really do anything for me. But Where Monsters Lie goes back to formula, the formula that I enjoy of his stuff. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it before I show you pictures, so it'll make more sense. Where Monsters Lie #1 of 4 comes from Dark Horse Comics. It is $3.99. It is written by Kyle Starks. The art is by Piotr Kowalski. The colors by Vladimir Popov. Letters by Joshua Reed. And the maturity level is M for mature. While I write for various sites, this is my own independent feature, and it should not be considered representing any views of those sites. So for many gated communities, for many of the residents to them, they offer a lot of benefits. Gated communities have, for example, no solicitors. They have added security. They have homeowners associations to enforce rules that uphold community standards of curb appeal, and privacy is yet another positive perk. And residents also tend to share resources like pools and parks and clubhouses. Wilmhurst in this book is a gated community exactly like this, except the residents in this remote gated community aren't your typical homeowners. No, they're slasher villains. And Wilmhurst is their exclusive and private home between sprees. Here they can unwind and plan their next body count amidst kindred spirits. Their homeowners association helps coordinate these outings by the residents, as well as providing assistance with things like wiring electronic face splitter traps or engineering a portable punji stick pit. Things that regular contractors and Home Depot would ask too many questions about. It's an idyllic resource for any slasher villain serious about refining the art of murder. In fact, with the housing authority's help, Wilmhurst is something of an art colony if bloodshed is your medium. Just as an artist's or writer's enclave helps sharpen skills, their peers quickly point out to the poet that he's fallen from being a laureate to a lame limerick warbler, and so it is with Wilmhurst. The housing authority there is reliable, if cutthroat, in critiquing just how well you're representing their aesthetic. If you've taken to phoning in your bloodlettings, if the cutting-edge cutting tools that you use have lost their edge, the HOA will be the first to let you know, and quickly. and with finality. First, there is a solid intro for Wilmhurst residents such as Zell, an elder but dangerous matriarch in charge. They have a Daniel Dawson, and he is a homeowner of the shape category of slasher killer. And they have Richard, a killer clown who looks like he should be running a campy roadside attraction. A violation of the housing authority policies requires a community meeting, and that gives a tidy look at these characters and others, and it helps outline the rules the slasher villains live by. That violation, though, leads to an investigative involvement by one Connor Hayes. He's an agent who heads what appears to be a federal task force aimed at ending the careers of these kinds of slashers. So let me show you some of the artwork that goes with this. Piotr Kowalski does a nice job. I really appreciated the way he rendered these. And again, we have no wasted space. Right here on the cover, we are right here on the inside cover, we get a look at all of the main killer characters. They are analog. Do it. Yeah. Nice. Nice. They are analogs for each one of them is an analog for basically a movie slasher. And we get into bloodletting pretty quickly in the book. Somebody goes knocking on an old lady's door to get some help, and she helps them. Yep. Mm-hmm. Later on, we get this beautiful look at the gated community, and then we have the HOA meeting. So there's the community. We get a nice look at all the living areas, and then look at this panel here. The detail. I really, really like that.
That's nice.
And later on, we get a look at a new resident that apparently he stays there sometimes. He's come in to roost, and he kind of reminds you of people with chainsaws in Texas, maybe like the patriarch of that family, sitting there in his, let's see here, yeah, sitting there in his wheelchair, telling him how things are going to be. And he's talking to the HOA rep, so yeah, they're going to butt heads, you can tell. Now, here is the Connor character I mentioned, and he is in charge of this federal task force that's aimed to shut down a bunch of these slasher killers. And he's talking to a witness here. Look at the backgrounds. Look at the office space. Very plain. And this is something that the artist does. I'll get to here in a minute, but it's nice. And even the back cover, nothing is wasted. Even the back cover, you get a really nice look at things to come. With one of the homeowners has a dog.
Are there no Batman ads?
Oh no, not in Dark Horse. No Batman ads. So
I ain't buying it then.
But the good parts, well, it's written by Kyle Starks, and like I said, he's one of my current favorite scripters of quirky concepts. And with the 6 sidekicks of Trevor Keaton, he not only presented a really cool concept, but he saw it through to a very satisfying conclusion to me. Some people were let down by the final issue, but I thought it was brilliant. And it was funny. It was action adventure and nostalgic, but funny. That same flawless style of humor, punctuated by over-the-top violence, is on display here. It's a Starks hallmark that I welcome after that more serious "I hate this place" take. I think Where Monsters Lie is a perfect vehicle for combining that horror that he wanted to do, the elements of horror, with a sweet spot of humor going along with that horrific. I mean, where else are you going to find a terrifying screen slasher getting dressed down by his homeowners association for leaving trash cans curbside, receptacles dripping fluids better left unidentified? I'm just saying. Artist Kowalski's done work for Image and Marvel and IDW and Dynamite and Boom and other places besides Dark Horse. I like that extremely detailed but crude imagery. It works for the horror and the humor elements as equally well. Not only both on the same page, but sometimes in the same panel, and that takes some talent. He also makes a subtle but clever statement about the sides forming of the coming conflict. When you look at those panels for the Wilmhurst residence, you'll see the extremely complicated backgrounds and elaborate detail. The panels with the task force, they're simple and straightforward. It seems the slasher villains are infinitely more complex and interesting than those mundane souls battling them. And that certainly mirrors the appeal of this horror film genre that it's based on. Vladimir Popov's colors are largely neutral, but they highlight rather than conceal all that wonderful Kowalski detailing. And Joshua Reed's lettering, that was kind of a downside for me. It carries its own style of neutrality. The prompting progression is good, panel to panel for the dialogue, but there's nothing really eye-catching in the sound effects or outside the word balloon text. In one place, he uses signs and a square text of dialogue, and it gets mixed in. You almost miss it. So not real impressed with this outing by Joshua Reed, although he's done some good work before. This was not one of his better. But all four of them combine, they make a very sturdy aesthetic, and it matches Stark's story tone. The bad. Now, this is a small gripe. It's kind of a personal thing, but there's a blurred line for the title. First, the comic series is described under its genre listing as humor, fantasy, action/adventure. It deals with, as far as I can tell, slasher villain analogs. They have a Professor Puzzleman, and he is a version of Jigsaw from the Saw film franchise, for example. They're also referred to at times as serial killers in the issue, though. And crossing those references drops me from the narrative every time. Serial killers are real-life murderers. They have victims. They have survivors. Slasher villains are indestructible killing machines of fiction. And it's true to the residents of Haddonfield, Illinois, Michael Myers is a serial killer. But that town and its residents are make-believe. It's also true that Chucky, the possessed doll, is a vessel for fictional serial killer Charles Lee Ray in the Child's Play films. So that line is already somewhat fuzzy, but given that the fictional Charles Lee Ray is an ill-conceived naming amalgam of real-life suspected assassins or cult leaders Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, and James Earl Ray, I prefer these boundaries between the true crimes and the fantasy to be firmer. Is it a big issue? No. Does it just halt the narrative whenever that happens, when I read across those blurred boundaries? Yes. And this issue, it had that. Because they refer back and forth to it a little bit. So that's really the only negative. So the takeaway, this feels like Kyle Stark is back in the writing mode where he shines the brightest. The first issue presents a quirky concept of the kind he excels at, and I have confidence he's going to deliver. The groundwork is placed firmly for the main and minor characters, and it rapidly accelerates to a headlong collision between the residents and those authorities from the end of the book. Is it premature for them to come to a confrontation so early in a 4-issue miniseries? Again, normally I would think that could be the case, but Starks has earned my confidence with his previous plottings, and the plottings overall are another one of his strengths. So I think we're in for 4 more issues of bloody, murderous mayhem and quite a bit of hearty laughter, especially if you like the slasher films. So, Where Monsters Lie #1 gets my official superb screen slasher score of 8 out of 10.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool. Excellent.
I don't know. That book does not grab me. It comes off more like, I hate to say this, it comes off more like The Prisoner Meets Modern Family.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it's like, when you really think about it, it's like, why would you have government oversight if they were not really, if they weren't really kind of like prisoners to that gated community? I mean, it's just weird of how everything is set up. And then again,
well, the federal task force is not connected.
It's
It's not connected to the the gated community, they've been looking for these guys individually. They don't know that they're all banded together in what appears to be a normal little place. So that's, they're hiding there from them. But a witness gets away and blabs, and so this task force thinks that they may have found. They're thinking of one guy. They don't know they found a whole bunch of them. But
it still comes off as Modern Family, that they're living together in that aspect, and everything. And it kind of, like I said, the whole prisoner type thing is just kind of like, why are they in this gated community altogether? That to me just doesn't make sense. If I was a true serial killer or slasher, I want my own. I want my own where nobody knows what I'm truly doing. So what's the true security of being in this quote unquote family aspect of this gated community? But that's just me looking at things. But then again, I never was one for horror, because to me, horror is not done the way I feel horror should be. That doesn't scare me. That doesn't make me, I don't know. It just seems like gore. Gore to me is not horror. And that's my real problem with it.
Right.
I agree.
You gotta have suspense, but now the horror elements of this are very much from the movie, and some of it's just gore. I don't think you're going to see a lot of suspense in this title, but I do like the idea that they have rules that allow them to use this place as a break, and there's several of them to be on the lookout for trouble. So, if you had the whole thing of the slasher killers being these murder machines that can't be stopped and they come back from the dead, and that's all. It's fantastic anyway. I like the element. It's just funny to think that they would take precautions like this and let somebody like the housing authority dictate, it's like, it's not safe to do this. We don't poop where we eat. You don't bring victims here. This is just seeing them lay down the law is funny to me.
But it comes off like a Mayberry RFD in a way. I hate to say it, but it really does. It's like,
I didn't get that at all.
You're pretty much an indestructible force, but yet you have like a Sheriff Andy coming back. It's like, now you need to make certain that your garbage is out there by 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I didn't look at it like that. I just thought it was because she may just be the housing authority person, but she's also. If there's a maestro of the gated community, it's her. And I think we're going to see others. We've already seen a violent side to her. We're going to see some other things that make you go, okay, yeah, they probably should listen to her. Yeah. Or, they have talked about other people that were excluded because their art failed to live up to expectations. So excluded like permanently, so it's sort of it also has an element of we're doing what everybody always wants to do. We're making art until people die, and if you're not adding to that, we can't use you. So I know that's the other side of it that I kind of got, that artist colony thing. It's kind of cool. But anyway.
Well, that makes sense. Nick Tucker says, I totally agree with Clyde in the serial killer versus slasher difference and suffer the same discordant results. And, the early conflict is likely a setup for a killer isn't dead resurrection. Sounds well written. And how terrifying is a person who can keep such folks in line? That's what I kept thinking.
Yeah.
If you have all these, nearly omnipotent murderers in one gated community, and somebody can tell them what to do. Of course, she is the housing authority. That could be it. There could be mystical powers, just like in real life. So anyway, Nick Tucker also says, I'm sorry, go ahead, Clyde.
I'm in for the run. I got to see how this plays out.
I like the concept.
Yeah. What did Nicholas say?
Nick said, this is for the previous review. That was getting rough. Just a heads up. and Parallax Spectre says, I need to read those Zombie Fool books. Yes, you do. They are seriously, they are really, really good. And I'm not saying that just because Eric knows my home address. It comes in hardcover, trade paperback, individual floppies, and issue 2. The backup story is awesome.
The forward is excellent too.
Yeah.
It's true. The forward is fantastic, and it was well edited also. So anyway,
there's a new campaign that launches in April. They'll all be available.
there you go. Yeah, take note. Take note.
Issue subject to availability. If I remember correctly.
Could be after a time. And no, I'm Old Spice. And Matthew Creek says, so you guys make comics? Some of us do. And these days I mainly read Elseworlds or IDWs. Nothing wrong with that. We got room for both of them, and we review all of them here on the show every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. And Joe D says, Parallax Spectre, Beanie wants to send you a toy so you can have it on screen when you're live on the air. Don't run away, Joe. Everyone has stuff, and you don't have stuff showing, really, she said. Well, the thing is, he can't have stuff showing.
So I can't really show stuff.
Okay, hold on. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. Here we go. Show it.
Like, I got pop figures.
There you go. Well,
there's some Wonder Woman stuff, and there's some She-Hulk and Baroness and stuff like that. I just don't show them. I just rather have the green screen up. I just really don't show them.
There you go. See? So, and The Man Who Knew Too Little was a fun spy flick. Yes, that was fun.
There you go.
That was fun. And Carl Wisman has some good advice here. Matthew, you may want to check out the channel of author Michaela Jade on YouTube. She has a few shows for writers every other Tuesday night. A very, very good one called Tidbits and Scribbles is a 90-minute to 2-hour show. And if you have questions about writing, please bring them because they will answer them. They've got a really good panel there. And Housing Authority Karens aren't scared of killers.
Yeah.
Nick Tucker says it sounds like a trade paperback. Watch Clyde and ooh, yay, toys, says Leah. We're here to make you happy. So anyway, those are our reviews for tonight. And if any of you are interested,
some of my Christmas presents have come in late.
Oh, nice.
But I got the Mego 50th anniversary Captain Marvel / Shazam.
Oh, that's lovely.
And the
Mego Batman.
Mego removable mask Batman.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. Mego, I can't see out of my cowl Batman.
And the 50th anniversary, we never made it, but we're making it look like it was a 50th anniversary issue of The Flash, including little winged boots. Just so cool.
Very cool.
And
looks good.
Then I got a Monday. I think I got a Monday Robin. Nothing on Robin looks right, and he doesn't stand good. He just kind of like.
Robin looks like he just came in from a bender.
Looks like Robin skipped leg day.
Yeah. Robin's phoning in today. I'm telling you.
Too bad there's not a 50th anniversary Mego Wonder Woman in Nubia.
Yeah. You're right.
And I don't know. I mean, they're going to do some more of them, but yeah, they didn't put out any. I don't think any female 50th anniversary figures yet, but there's supposed to be more on the way. So hopefully they will.
I hope it doesn't fall up under what Todd McFarlane said about toys and women figures.
What did he say?
They don't sell.
Oh, that's been the prevailing wisdom for 30 years. That supposedly guys don't want, the female versions, and the women aren't interested in action figures to begin with, which we all know is a fallacy. Both of them.
I got 7 women on this shelf right here.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4 on this shelf. At least 3 or 4 on that shelf.
I mean, how many GI Joes you have? How many GI Joes you have that are women, Eric?
I've got 2 Scarlets. I got 2 Baronesses because they made 2 different of each. I've got Lady J. I have a custom cover girl because the real one hasn't come out yet, so I created my own cover girl. They're coming out with one from the comics I was not familiar with, though.
What, Jinx?
No, I know Jinx. No, this is after. It had to be one of the IDW runs or maybe Devil's Due run. It's Helix.
Oh.
Wasn't an original character from the Marvel.
No. That's a newer character. That's Helix, I believe, came out around Devil's Due, right around the time that everything was going anime, and probably like, if I remember correctly, it's like a Sigma 6 character.
Yeah, I think she's a sniper or something. It looked like,
Right.
yeah. They're making a figure of her that's going to come out. But yeah, I always buy the female figures I can find. I got Ahsoka Tana up here, and what's the Mandalorian chick? I can't remember her name. Bo-Katan. And the other one that was introduced in the Mandalorian with her, that was played by, is it Snoop Dogg's daughter? Stepdaughter or something like that? And then who else is in there? There's a couple female characters up there. I tell you, I don't see as many female characters sitting around the shelves like I used to. I mean, years ago you did. But now people just want everything because they're afraid, they got the FOMO, fear of missing out, so they buy everything. Except for Lando Calrissian for some reason. He's on every shelf I see. I got plenty of him. You got to have Billy D. Williams in your collection.
Well, yeah.
I do not have Cara Dune. I missed out on that one. Then they discontinued the figure.
Yeah.
I couldn't pay the prices for it after that. I just couldn't. But that is, of all the Mandalorian figures, that is the only one I'm missing. Maybe.
Interesting.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, Parallax Spectre weighs in, says Robin looks like you got him from the set of Robot Chicken.
I don't know why. I mean, the plastic they've used on the arms, his gloves won't stay on. He's supposed to be the removable mask Robin, which is why I got him, because back when I got the original one, he has the painted on mask. He doesn't.
Right.
And the Batman cowl was one piece. Was the head. So, I look forward to having, especially the Robin with the mask that comes off. And then I got him, and I'm like, and he, his posability is like this. So, but the others are okay. So I don't know. I may have to just swap out that head with a regular old Meagle body and transfer the outfit.
Sounds right. Matthew Creek goes, unpopular opinion, Robin is cooler than Batman. But which Robin?
That's because he doesn't wear pants. He's always cooler.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Good point, Eric. That just makes sense. And Leia says, yet most of the priciest statues, come on, StreamYard, keep up. Yet most of the priciest statues are of scantily clad women. That's because there is a demand for them, and it's law of supply and demand. Low supply, big demand. Am I wrong? I decided I'm not. Okay, anyway. And Shay Vizsla asks Dawn Dulles.
I don't know if that's it or not. I don't think that is.
Okay. All right. Well, Nick Tucker says, BS, I have mostly female pops, vinyl banks of Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn, an acrylic Lena inverse, and a custom sword art online Simon. Yeah, and I'm thinking about my collection. I think there's very few human beings in it. Mine's either like aliens or I think a goodly amount of them are female. So I've got the Phantom. He's a human male, but that's about it.
And don't shoot me. That's what Todd McFarlane said. That's not what I believe in.
That's right. And need more Elvira's. We all need an Elvira in our life. And Leia ganked one for Target. And Rick
They
Bradley
had them on clearance at Target at one point, and I didn't pick them up because it was the best card collector or credit collection. So they're painted like the credits from the show. So the colors are real bright, and they didn't match the actual character, so I didn't pick it up. And I wish I would have now, because I'll never find one now. I go Omega from the Bad Batch, though.
Oh, there you go. Cool. Very cool. Irad Publishing, Rick Bradley, how you doing? We are doing well now that you are here. And Dawn says, no, that wasn't Sasha Banks, WWE Wrestling, Mercedes' birth name. Parallax Spectre says
Sasha Banks. I don't know what the character's name is. Yeah, but Sasha Banks. So maybe it is Vizsla. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, do you have this secret website, Google?
Yeah, but my Google tabs are full of reference for the drawing show tonight.
Oh, okay. So you're waiting for me to get curious enough to look it up.
Sure. Go ahead.
Forget it. Anyway, and the first Robin, Dick Grayson, not a fan of Tim Drake. Well, there's 3 more you can choose from, so that's the nice thing. And Parallax Spectre says, I know it's what Todd said. He's stuck in 1992 mentality where only extreme toys are sold. And Don Dula says, Costa equals Sasha Banks equals Mercedes equals Snoop's cousin.
Cousin, okay. I knew she was related to Snoop.
Also, to that comment that you never read, that
Which one?
went past, there's a deal about the it being the Death in the Family figure.
Oh, I missed that one. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yes. Yeah, post Death in the Family figure. That would explain the that would explain the crowbar accessory that came with it. I didn't understand.
I was going to say, yeah. And does it come with like a 800 number? You can vote whether they make a good toy of it or not. So
no, they just stuffed him in the package that it was already pre-decided.
No, what they need is like a set of 2 Jason Todds or 3. One's post crowbar. One would be the one that more people are familiar with, the former thief, and then the original, who was practically a clone of Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
And with a wind-up Joker that goes.
That would be like the 3rd series of the Superpowers set. Remember the one where you squeeze
their legs?
Squeeze Plastic Man's legs, his head pops up and things like that.
Aquaman's
with the big old mallet.
Yes.
Squeeze the legs on Hawkman and his wings flap.
Hey, I will tell you, the Steppenwolf that came with that set was a lot better than the one I saw in that movie.
Eric was squeezing the actor's legs for hours and nothing happened, except the police showed up. But no, it's like I also remember the Superman. I think it was you squeeze his legs and his whole torso went, like that. And that's why I've not picked up the new one. It's beautiful, the one that McFarlane made, and it's a nice replica of the original, but it doesn't do anything.
Hey, right now a lot of those are on clearance.
You want Superman doing the twist?
That's right. Like last summer, baby. They're in clearance now?
A lot of them are, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
I saw Superman and Darkseid for $5 each.
Wow. I would get the Superman for that. That's for sure. I wouldn't pay what they're asking for it, but
well, they're only 12. Is it 12 or 9 retail?
I want to say it's 12. I think I saw them at 12.
Where like the 6-inch Star Wars figures they're 24 now. They were 19. Now they go up to 24. And unfortunately, even though it's a 6-inch scale, which is really 1/10. It's not actually 1/12. It's right in between. This is also considered a 6-inch scale because it's a child.
Yeah.
But they'll still charge you $24 for this.
Wow.
Even though it's half the size of a regular figure.
And I'll just wait till those go on clearance too. So anyway, let's see. Here we go. What we got? Oh yes, Matthew says really excited for Superman and Lois' new season. Well, hopefully, that's one I'm behind on too. Hopefully, they stay longer if they fit within James' publish or as a schedule for the movies. Open the Death of the Family figure and it comes with red paint and a crowbar. Missed opportunity, if you ask me. There you go. And I really wish Martian Manhunter got a solo movie. That I think he's one of the best characters in the DC universe. He's got so much potential. I agree with you. And Rabs Publishing says, I love how Marvel figures build figures like Rintrah, Giant Man, Apocalypse, Onslaught, and DC build a figure that is a horse. Okay.
They do.
The best DC Build-A-Figure that I have ever had was the Giganta.
Okay.
That was one of their Build-A-Figures.
Yeah, the thing is, I hate those because usually it's like I don't buy the whole set. I'm not that big a figure collector, so I just want the ones that speak to me. And so, if there's a big arm or leg in there, I know I'm not going to be buying all the figures to assemble that one, and I rarely take them out of the pack anyway because I want to see them pristine. It's not an investment thing. It is that's just how I like to see the figures.
I just refuse to pay somebody else twice the money. It's really easy for me just to get all the figures just to build it.
Yeah.
There's a Build-A-Figure Khonshu right now.
Oh.
with the Marvel ones, and I can't pull the trigger on because I mean they're $25 a piece, and there's 5 of them that I'd have to get for that set. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I think I'll just find the Boris Karloff mummy for $35, buy him, then 3D print a bird skull and put on him.
Well, actually, those Universal Monster film ones are gorgeous.
The ones from NECA?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really nice looking.
They are. If you haven't seen them, folks, they're in the collectible section near the media and all. And they usually come with like the base body and the base for it to stand on, and then different sets of hands in different positions, and then like a couple of heads. And the Wolfman is really good too, because one is, of course, the Wolfman, and the other one's, I think the other one's Larry Talbot. Which is kind of, if I remember it correctly, or it might be another one that I'm thinking of.
And they've been doing them in black and white and color versions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I noticed that the Mummy, and it may be the difference. Yeah, it may be the difference between the two, but they each have different covers, different one sheets of the characters too. Those have been, and I also noticed they did the same thing for Angus Young of AC/DC.
I didn't see him. I just saw. Someone from Led Zeppelin, I think, the other day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I didn't see Led Zeppelin. I did see Angus Young, the lead guitarist for the group, and it has one picture of him with the devil horns, like he had on the one album cover, and then another one where he has just like regular, the standard, like this pose for the hands, but the other one was like this, like devil horns. So
there's a accessory set coming out for the Mummy one.
Ooh.
With a sarcophagus and all kinds of extras and stuff to go with it.
Ooh. Because I just recently binge watched the Mummy movies again. So, yeah, I'm on that. Don Dula says, BK, may want to clarify the figures are speaking to you. No, I don't. And what you got there, Joe?
This is rather old, but this is, I'm not certain if people remember Robotech or AKA Macross, but this Veritech Fighter it's Ben Dixon's Veritech Fighter, and the way that they did it in like big volumes like that.
Oh, nice!
But inside of it's
that's cool.
Oh yeah,
sweet.
And it comes with like all the different missiles and everything.
It's the Jetfire from Transformers.
And the pilot is like right there up in the corner and everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
so when you start talking about like all the postable stuff and everything, I still got the original COA.
Oh, cool!
Very nice.
I have not seen any more of these because I would like to get a Maximilian Sterling.
That's a horrible typo, Nick.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's super cool, ho.
Joe, he meant Joe. Accidental typo. Freudian slip, if you ask me.
Yeah, but I would like to get a Maximilian Sterling version of this.
Well, I don't know. I think Nick's envious of you enough for just having that one. So
clearly a case of envy there. Well, have you looked on eBay?
No, I haven't seen these in like years. And if I did go on eBay, I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to be an arm and a leg. Because again, this is all one piece.
Yeah.
That's
and the figure. It's like I said, it's done like in a book, and the figure comes out that way in this slipcase version. But you could display it just like as a book on a bookshelf, and you can see it that way.
Yeah, that's just too sweet. That's nice. That is so cool. Yeah, because you mentioned that, and I noticed that somebody is reprinting the old Comico Robotech Macross stuff from the 80s, and some of them had Mike Barron riding that, so those are pretty cool. Rad says they have the Teenage Mutant Ninja figures as different Universal monsters. I think Raphael is Frank and Ralph. Okay, I've seen those.
They look pretty cool. I've seen some of those.
Yeah. And Matthew says, remember The Gifted, the X-Men series where the X-Men heroes and villains disappear and the remaining mutants have to deal with the fallout? Love that show, so mad it got canceled. Well, that's the way of the world, unfortunately. And Rick Bradley says, Robotech is my favorite show. I have all the RPG books, and I want that figure, Joe. And may have Freudian slip, though. That's true, Nick. And everyone's saying hello to everybody there. We're glad to see that. So, that is cool, though. That is cool. So,
So
we
now
had
Beanie is happy. I do have toys. I just don't show them.
There's a joke there, no one. Anyway, and shame on you for knowing what I'm talking about. But anyway, but no, I know. But anyway, we had a topic to talk about tonight. Who wants to lead off with that?
It was. It was Clyde's baby.
Oh.
I don't want.
Okay.
I don't want a jacket.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, well,
I would like to make sure I don't get it wrong, which is why I'm not introducing it.
so I went to the comic book shop yesterday, and Dan Horner is the local comic book guru. Happy birthday, by the way, Dan. Colossus Comics and Games.
Birthday,
Mount Vernon.
Happy birthday, Dan!
Colossus Comics and Games, Mount Vernon, Illinois, for all of your gaming and comic book needs. And he's got action figures too, male and female. So, but he's a really laid back guy. I really like Dan. And yet yesterday he was grumbling, and I was like, "What's the matter?" And he goes, "All these comic book covers." And he showed me he had two, one in the back in the past weeks, another one in this week's, that he has to turn backwards.
Oh, yeah.
Because it shows Spider-Man number, I think 17, Spider-Man number 19. I sent you guys pictures. Because the reason he has to set them backwards is because it's Disney's 100th anniversary, so they have jacked the Marvel covers on this Spider-Man run books, and they have taken their Disney characters and they have put them in classic, iconic cover poses. Like they had the Avengers number 4, I think, that has the Return of Captain America, with Mickey as Captain America and all the other Disneyed up characters, and that's fine. They did another one that was
Fantastic Four, wasn't it?
Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very clever. They're very cute, except, when you face them forward, people think they're buying a Fantastic Four comic, not a Spider-Man number 17.
Yeah.
Or, they think they're buying an Avengers comic. And he's like, I put them this way, they get covered up. The customers, or the customers go, "This is out of place," or what? Why is this one here? So I turn them around. And he goes, when it comes time to file them as back issues, it's going to be a pain in the butt because people are going to come up and go, "Hey, this is in the wrong spot. It's in the S's and it's supposed to be in the A's."
Yeah.
And he's just like, "What are they thinking? They make life so difficult for back issues, for displaying them." He goes, "It's a very cool idea, but why couldn't they put that Avengers cover on, I don't know, an Avengers book?" Yeah. And he's just like, it's just, we're just going to do whatever we want. And you guys that run the shops, you can either like it or lump it. Yeah. And I'm feeling kind of lumpy right now.
And that brought me to the question that I was asking Clyde about. It's like, is it me, or is this industry just lost it when it comes to marketing comics? I mean, we're so far away from marketing story. We're using all these different gimmicks and artwork and homages and all this other stuff that when people come and want a Spider-Man story, it's like, why aren't they talking about a Spider-Man story? Why aren't they going back to hyping up story with a good image on that cover, as opposed to, here's an art journal cover that you really want, that we want to make a 1 in 25 to get more money out of you.
And it doesn't really tell you what's on the inside or tease you and entice you into purchasing that comic.
Or I thought of this, Joe, after you asked that, I thought, remember the Heroes Reborn Squadron Supreme books?
Yeah.
Right.
They had some nice art. At least I think it was, because by the time you got the title logo spread across the top and you got this big color band that had what part of the story it was, the event it was, and blah, 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 you could barely see the image.
Yeah.
It was horrible marketing as far as exciting you for what was inside or showing off the artwork.
It was so weird because they was recreating what they did with Civil War, because remember Civil War had those bands that was half the cover.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But at least the image was recognizable as far as what was going on, or an action scene that kind of gave you an idea of what's happening in the story.
Yeah.
The recent Heroes Reborn was giving you just classical images that really didn't tell you what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And there was, to me, I love the modern take of Heroes Reborn, especially how it ended. But yet, if you just have that cover to look at, if you want to gain like the alternate covers to get some idea of what the story could be about, if you got that cover A, you will be lost.
It's a very resistible cover.
Yeah.
You know, it was worth a glance, and I'm just walking right past it. Which, you don't get me wrong, you know, I don't mind some variant covers. Yeah, it can be out of hand, and I'm looking at you, Marvel and Dynamite. It can get out of hand, but
Yeah.
it also means that artists are making money and they're, you know, getting a good paycheck. That's fine. Some of those like Virgin covers are beautiful. They showcase the artwork and they really draw you right to, you know, purchasing the book. So I don't have as much problem with that. It's just the idea that the whole marketing value of some of the books, especially event type books, just seems to people are I guess they're chasing the titles to make sure they get all the ones that they want to you know, fit in with the event. And I guess that's okay, but I wish they would do that on the back cover.
Yeah.
You know, if they want to track it on the back cover, have a some kind of a schematic of here's this one that you're getting, and it goes with this one and this one and this one, this and this one. Something like that, maybe.
Oh, you know, it used to be when you go to a comic shop back in the day, they'd have like on the counter, they have a little postcard with all the checklist of all the books you need to keep up with this crossover.
Right.
When they first started doing crossovers, I guess it's so common now that
well, DC's doing it, but you have to buy the book it's in.
Yeah.
You know, with the latest ones. Well, you know, and also that's something that brings up something that I've been kvetching about for about a year was the covers. That there was nothing on there to make you sell. Like, I want to give you a good example. This makes me want to buy it. You know, not just because it's the old Avengers that I grew up with, but it's the fact that what is this thing that they're all getting squished by, and why is there a big 4 behind it? And believe it or not, this all is relevant to the story. It is actually an incident that's going on in there. And then you compare it to something like this for Free Comic Book Day.
And overpriced.
Yeah.
No.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those are nice.
But these are nice. But the thing about it is that you're being sold on a cover.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
that's a problem. This is like, oh, look at this nice, beautiful image. Like, to me, it's like, if you go and do that, why don't you create a art book? It's like, why don't you do like the art book of the Hulk and have covers, you know, images like this, and you could sell those like hotcakes to be like, oh yeah, get your favorite artist X, Y, and Z, and this, and this, and focus in on what's inside. So that tells me it's like either A, they don't care about story, because I'm looking at
what story?
You know, stuff like this. It's like this image has nothing to do with what's going on in the title, in the main title itself. It's just a nice, pretty image.
Also, you know, and Eric, you said this one day. You said, "Well, I don't know. So and so's on the cover, so I'm glad I got this book because apparently he makes an appearance in here." And we're like, "No,
It was that gospel book, and it had Spawn on the cover, and he was not in it.
Well, because they
just did the same thing for Miracle Man.
They just did the same thing for Planet of the Apes for Marvel. Why? You know, it's like that's almost false advertising. But they're honoring, you know, an anniversary or something for these characters. But okay, some people are going to think that they're in the book and they're going to get it and then be disappointed. So again. The cover is kind of, I would consider it, if I was a marketing instructor, I would go, that's with an F. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I will give a good example here of a decent cover. That
Yes.
makes me want to buy it. Why is this lawman, got zombies behind him? This
Old
is a
fashioned
good
lawman.
cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying this just because, Eric paid me money for it. But you compare
Man,
that to
Brian even has a line of dialogue in there he wrote himself.
Like
I
that.
did. Yes, I
Like
loved
this
it.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Miracle
Exactly.
Man is not in this issue whatsoever,
Yeah.
but this is a variant cover. And like I
Yeah.
said, they did it as a variant. And to me, it's like, okay, fine. This should be like a art piece for like artwork of Miracle Man.
Except they're trying to get you to buy all the
Same thing
variants.
with this one here.
Yep.
What it's like, even though it's on the cover and whatnot, what book title is this for?
Yeah.
It's actually Hulk number 8. She-Hulk is not even on this issue. It's an actual, used to get people to buy it because it's a sexy image of She-Hulk on the cover.
Yeah. Right.
It's not selling the contents of what's inside the book.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll show you one that does. Monkey Prince. Now this is the first issue.
Yeah.
And we're like, who the heck is it? And that's fine. Now we go to the second issue, which is a team up of Guess Who. All right.
Yep.
And every issue has been like that it has had something to do with the interior. And yeah, and it can be, sometimes it's a little cute, but let me get this one here so I can, there we go, get back to where it was supposed to be. Because this is an example of, doesn't really happen in this book, but it's indicative of the tone of the story. It's a team up with, the Metropolis people. Monkey Prince is doing everything right here. Or you can have something like the latest Miracle Man, which this does represent. Represents like he's trying to find himself, but yet at the same time, the Warp Smiths are prominently figured in this too. So you may be attracted by the design, which is okay. But then you've got this one here, DC Universe Lazarus Planet. This is the new one, Next Evolution, and you've got these characters, but like it says Heroes Forge, but what does that tell me? See, I don't think it's a really great image or anything. I'd like a little more on there. Are these new characters? Are they, significant in some way? It's like
it's a pretty cover.
It's better than most of those that have been out on the Lazarus Planet stuff.
If you've been enjoying Lazarus Planet, please check our site on Facebook, and we'll break you of that habit.
Somebody's been don't. Yeah.
I just shared my screen to show that picture of the comic I was talking about.
Right. Oh, thank you. Okay, add to stream.
So on the right-hand side, you have the title. It's Amazing Spider-Man 17, but that's the back of the book. The front of the book says The Avengers.
Yeah,
and I would think that is an Avengers book.
Yep, and everybody else does too. That's why he puts them backwards, and then everybody browsing through them puts them back around, and then he has to go back and redo it. And
right, well, and if you don't pay attention to the center, it says it right there. Disney 100. What if?
Right.
Yeah, but still,
But that should be on the front, not the back.
Yeah,
exactly.
It should be on Avengers book.
Yeah, is there a Spider-Man to go along with that? Is there a Spider-Man corollary?
Yeah, and I love the art. I love the idea of it.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Bah.
Yeah,
if that were on an Avengers cover, I would buy that just for the cover.
Yeah.
But if that's on a Spider-Man book, I'm like, was somebody drunk when they handed in the print files?
Yeah.
That would be my question. Seriously.
Here's this Amazing Spider-Man 19. The back. And the front has Fantastic Four.
Yep.
That makes... Now, are all of the Spider-Mans that way? They have the variant? Oh, now that's ridiculous. That is...
I think it is.
And like Joe said, rather than trying to hoodwink somebody into spending $4.95, $5.99 for all of those covers, make a book of it. I would buy that book in a heartbeat.
You think they did that because the Spider-Man's probably their better selling book than the Avengers or Fantastic Four?
Ooh.
That's a good question. There is a place where you can look up sales figures, but I don't know.
Don't know
That's
how
the last
accurate they
thing.
are anymore.
But that's, if that's the case, so basically, as long as our bottom line is satisfied that we've sold more books than we would otherwise, we don't really care how disgruntled the person that buys the book is or how much crap they give the people that are,
Right. Yeah.
manning the stores.
Mhm.
That's just bad. I'm sorry. That's bad business to me.
No, I agree with you, and I don't think the companies really they kowtow to the dealers a lot.
No, they kowtow to the Disney overlords there.
Well, now, yeah, but no, for years, even back 30 years ago when I ran a comic shop, it's like they pay lip service to the retailers, and they are, since they are so heavily invested in the direct sales system, they have to listen to the dealers. Although I always kind of find it funny when somebody says, "Well, Marvel did this, and I'm not going to carry any more Marvel issues." Well, then I expect your store to be closed in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to boycott Marvel. You're not going to boycott DC, and it doesn't have the same impact to say, "Okay, I'm gonna ban boycott Scout Comics." That's not much of a threat.
And to answer a question that's out there in the chat, the answer is no. That's not what we're going to say because
Joe, which one?
and I hate to use this as an example because
Joe, which one? Which one? I'll put it up on screen.
Nick Tucker.
Okay.
It says that one.
Okay,
the answer to that is no. Because indie books do the exact same thing.
And they're worse at it, in fact, I think. In a lot of cases.
Like I said, I hate to use this as an example because this, to me, great cover for a first issue. You know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
But because it was crowdfunded, you get covers like this, which is homages.
Yeah.
Which is homages to other stuff, which is exactly what all the big boys do. So you can't get away from it from the indie comic side either. It's just one of those things that it comes back down to the marketing aspect of it, which I just don't get. To me, this is more important. See, having imagery like this is more important to your story because you want people to
also did this
your
too.
story. Yeah, that was
good. Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
And this one,
exactly. But
yes,
it's shiny.
But again, that's the way that some independents have to catch people's attention because that's what they're used to seeing.
Yes,
it's a marketing ploy. It's like you can't just say just buy indie comics just because Marvel did something bad or DC does something bad. It's across the industry that we need to rethink how we market.
Yeah, we're talking about comics in total, not just the big two. Absolutely. We're just discussing the way covers have changed and discussing if they're as effective today as they used to be. Or if they're missing beats and why they might be missing beats across the industry.
Let's think about how many units they're selling, inflation aside.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, back in the day, you could sell 200,000. A comic that sold 200,000 copies from Marvel or DC would get canceled.
Yeah,
and that was back when they were up to about 20 cents a piece. But now you've got that they're more than double, $399, 200 times that, to the power of 20, whatever. But they don't have the representative covers. You look at the old ones, the Silver Age ones from DC, or even Gold Key. My favorite company, Tower, had a lot of representative covers, but you see them in an action pose. They're doing something rather than a lot of these that are just the heroes flying through, or just posing. It's like, that's nice if you've got it inside a frame and it's inside a art gallery someplace. But what is making me want to buy this book if I have never read that book before? See, whereas in the old days, and this is an extreme example, I will grant you, but you see a thing where Superman is standing on a promontory and Lois is like, "Why have you wrapped your head in bandages?" I can't tell you, Lois. You're going to be going, "I want that book. I want to find out." Or I just saw the pencils for Fantastic 419 First Ramatut. The FF are in chains in ancient Egypt, and this guy that looks like a pharaoh is going, "I've enslaved the Fantastic Four." You're going to wonder.
Where he looks like he's from the Village People.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, he's the pharaoh.
The
Yeah,
Village People pharaoh.
That was the 6th village person. Yeah,
Well, you know, it's there's so many artists doing covers that aren't doing the interior of the books too.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years, but I was going to pick up the new Fantastic Four series, and because the art on the covers was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I opened up that first issue; it was hideous inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it back and walked on.
Yeah, and the reverse can also be true. There is one artist, I will not name him, but he has a style that is very angular and cartoony. That he's done interiors, and he's not a horrible storyteller, but he does like these covers that are, where everybody seems to be grinning despite whatever's going on. It's like, you have got 2 weeks to live. I've got 2 weeks to live. That sort of thing. And he gets a lot of cover art assignments, and I see that, and I don't want to buy the book. I don't even want to pick it up because I'm thinking if he's inside there, I'm not going to enjoy reading it. Whereas back in the 60s, you would get, and I hate to use an example because I did like the interior artist, but you get a Superboy there was one where Superboy is plummeting out of the sky, and he's filling most of the book, and you see like the ground spread out like a quilt below him, with all the wonderful Neil Adams detail and this look of sheer horror on Superboy's face. And you're like, I've got to have this book. And then you open it up, and it is the regular Superboy team who are good, and they tell a good story, but they're not Neil Adams. So that was a little bit of a bait and switch there. But yeah, and especially like with a lot of crowdfunded things, you can get a really fantastic artist who will do the exterior cover, and then the insides just look like a 6-year-old did them. So,
or they don't show what the book is really about.
Exactly. They don't sell the book,
which I was about to get into here, because it's like when I look at Super Heroes showcase, at least we get some idea that you're going through all these different incarnations of this one character called the Scarab.
Yeah.
Off of the one cover. This is paying like homage to like what you would get in like the Silver and Bronze Age.
Right.
And then you move on to something that's more modern, like here we got Conquer Crowns, Amazons Assemble, which does not give you much of a story. Mm-hmm. You just see women standing around and one that's on a throne with an elephant behind it. Doesn't give you much about a story. Mm-hmm. If you saw it on the shelf, you would be like, maybe, maybe not. It's like it depends on how the image grabbed you. Mm-hmm. Same thing with PBOW. Now, this is a very weird book. I actually read this. In a way, I'm kind of like, you know what? This book is definitely not for me type book after reading it.
Yeah.
But some people like this type of a story. But even with seeing the cover itself, there's not much to go off of it other than it's like, oh, you see Nikola Tesla and 5 different pregnant women.
Yeah. I'd look at it just for the Tesla image.
Tesla's a player.
That's right.
Is one of them a pigeon?
No, it's just the way that is drawn, but it is a very, very weird book.
Yeah.
So it's up some people's alleys, but story-wise, it's just too weird, and I won't say abstract because I was able to follow it, but it was like an adventure that was just like so imaginative that unless you really want to escape from reality completely, it wouldn't make sense to you, because like it would just be like, wow, they're just going way over the top, way over the top.
Yeah,
it's almost like reading like early day Freak Force, image Freak Force type stuff.
That was a good title too,
but way more over the top.
So,
unless you like those type of books, it's not what it is. But when I like I said, when I think about what that retailer said, it's like, as a creator, as a publisher, it's like I think about that too. It's like I don't want, if it's like, yeah, my alternate covers are going to be something more fun and whimsical, but that main standard cover has to go back to story. It has to relate back to the story. It has to relate in some form or some fashion to a scene that could happen in the story.
Yeah.
To draw people into it.
Exactly. Let's see. Let's catch up on some of the comments here, guys. Good comments. Robotech Masterpiece Collection, Volume 1, very fine. 1J Rick Hunter is $190 on Freebay.
No, that's VF1. That's VF1J. That's the model of the Veritech fighter.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
they're known as VF-1s are the first generation of Veritechs, and the letter is the color designation of it.
Yeah. And Parallax Spectre says, I am so sick of Amazing Spider-Man 300 homages. I get that.
But there's a group out there that just buys them no matter what.
This is very smart marketing decisions. Yes. See?
Yeah, this is marketing.
And like the Instagram owner of the account of the club say, hey, can I share that out? Share it away.
I gotta admit that classic Justice League cover with from the 80s. It always has the Guy Gardner look. They've done a lot of homages to that, and there was a time when I could hardly pass one of those up. I just, that time is now past. But there was a time when it sold some books that way.
And I was the same way with that one pose, the Phoenix, the Cyclops and Phoenix, or the Superman, Supergirl from Crisis, where standing there, legs spewed apart, and holding up, the person that's dead and crying. That's cute for the first half dozen times.
Yeah.
Then after that, and it's like, I went into that's a good point, Clay, because I went into my shop this week, and I saw probably, and this is A covers. We're not talking variants, but the A covers. I probably saw at least a dozen new books, all from different all from, like, I would call them green section companies, and they all were homages to another cover.
Yeah,
there was just not an original idea among them.
Yeah.
New covers never have a story moment on them anymore. Yeah, exactly. That's our.
I will say I've been crapping on Gospel.
Yeah,
for 2 months now. But I will tell you, everything that's on the cover in those books is in that book.
All right.
From that
Except
first
that
issue.
one.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Let's make this one, yeah.
Okay.
But that first issue, when they're fighting that big hog, boom, you open almost right up to it.
There's the hog.
Yeah. And Matthew Grease says, thoughts on animated covers for book marketing. I'm going to expand that to any sort of gimmick, whether they're lenticular covers or acid overlays.
I can't find a lenticular printer to save my life.
Yeah, and I can only imagine the last time I can remember a lenticular cover was that 1 month World's End, I think it was, with DC, and the stories were crap. We
couldn't pay our writers or our artists.
We couldn't. We couldn't get anybody good.
Only a handful that was actually good that moved the story along as far as the title was concerned, but the majority of them were like, you showed us lenticular and really wasn't all that great.
I agree, and I think Dawn hits it right here. Big companies in general are out of touch with the general public where it comes to marketing. They think we're sheep. I think the companies have realized, and I think for 30 years, that a lot of comic fans, and I'll rag on them because I used to have this mindset myself. I'm going to buy issue 241 of this crappy comic book that I lost interest in 2 years ago because I've got the first 240.
Yeah.
I want to keep my collection intact.
I'm that person.
I get an amen from everyone. Say what, Eric?
I was that guy for a while too.
Yeah. I think we all have been at one point or another. Well, of course not you, Clyde. You're better than us. So.
No, not better. Just I get really bent out of shape easily as far as like, this has lost its appeal, and I've only got a full run of a couple of titles, and those are like no more than 50 issues, or some of them like, what is it? 5 issues of Captain Action.
Yeah.
5 issues, but that was not a miniseries. That was not intentional. So
yeah, Clyde's in for the long haul. That's okay, because I realized today, like, I've got like a full set of Grimjacks, and that's like 76 issues.
Oh Lord,
or not counting the miniseries that came after, or like Nexus.
Yeah,
those were a long time, and those had at least one person that ran through the whole run. So, usually the writer. But yeah, Dawn, I got to agree with you. They are out of touch with us, and they're no longer interested in trying to push their stuff to people who haven't read it before. And there's so many factors that are working against somebody discovering comics. Rad Publishing says, I tube out any big crossover events now. They ruined me on those when they started doing them twice a year. Yeah, and look at the DC. They had, the last issue of the Infinite Crisis on Multiple Earths wasn't even, the ink on it wasn't even dry. Then they start this Planet Lazarus thing.
Yeah.
And frankly, there's only been a couple parts of the Planet Lazarus that, in my opinion, have been any damn good. I've been reviewing the tie-ins, and they have, with just a few exceptions, have been miserably bad. And I blame editorial. And plus there's another issue that came out.
There's no true editors anymore.
Not really. Like I said, they're all traffic managers. They all make sure that the books get to the printer, which is good. That's part of their job. But they're not saying no to the writers and artists anymore. In fact, the writers and artists have a lot more power than people realize. Like, what was it, about 4 or 5 years ago? Tom King got his editor, who was a personal friend, got him fired off Batman because he said no to one of Tom King's stories.
Yep.
And I know that, like, back in the day when John Byrne was doing Superman, he didn't like, well, I know the reason why, and it's a long story, but he didn't like a decision the editor made and wasn't enforcing something that Byrne wanted to have done, was promised. So that's when they got Mike Carlin in, because the two had worked together at Marvel, and they knew they worked like that. So, but anyway, Fantastic Four crossover. Oh, if only. And where's my Mickey Mouse Captain America? Exactly. And Carl, glad to see you here. Have a good time at Stupid O'Clock. And the Avengers art, that looks like a Kingdom Hearts ad.
It does.
It does. That's the only thing I like about it. And see you, Donna. Take care. And comic book fans need to do what D&D fans did: crash their website with unsubscriptions. Amen.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, though, there's so few of us anymore, and most people
there's
get
no
from
more
the shops
subscription
anyway.
services like that too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Bobby Nash, how you doing, Bobby? Check out Bobby Nash, Ben Books, all kinds of good stuff. Why, what kind of good stuff? Why, Bobby, I just happen to have something right here. Pick up Snow Shorts #1 with the award-winning story, Snow Ambition, in it. It's a good, thick book, and it's hardcover. They also have a paperback edition. Go to Amazon, or better yet, go to Ben Books, ben-books.com, or abrahamsnow.com, or even better, bobbynash.com. And you can, and you'll love it, because you could get one of these. I'm not going to dox my. I don't care really.
There you go.
You showed it.
Well, his address is too small, but mine is like, I don't care, because I don't answer the door anyway. So I don't want the comic stores getting caught in the crossfire, and they definitely would. They would take the brunt of it. They really would. Is the problem.
Again, that's if you ever go to a comic book convention and do the panels where they have the retailer forums and whatnot, and then talk to a retailer after that, it's not pretty.
Oh no.
It's not pretty. A lot of these retailers are not happy with a lot of these bigger companies.
But what can they do, really? Because the companies are going to do what they want. So. And Red Publishing says, now I'm driving and listening, so entertain me. Well, if we haven't yet, you're screwed. Gimmicks are no substitute, says Nick Tockard, for content. Great artists, no substitute for good storytelling.
And to touch on that, I'm going to touch on that one part, because that's how I clarify Image comic book fans. If you're a 90 Image comic book fan, you love great art, but you hate storytelling.
No, you don't like good art.
If you're a modern Image fan, you love great storytelling, but the art is meh at times.
I just have two words: Extreme Studios.
that
Extreme
time. So
Studio.
I'm not saying that they're wrong for liking what they're liking, but his remark is spot on.
Mm-hmm.
90s Image to me was great art, very little storytelling.
I would agree with you about the storytelling. A lot of them were script light, but I also think that a lot of the art was pretty poor. The storytelling itself was really wretched. It was just a lot of poses for the most part, and full.
Now, if you want to talk about some really nice art but not great stories, before
Yeah,
Image, there was
continuity. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go with continuity.
No.
But it's safe for me to say I would rather go with a Saga, Sex Criminals.
Saga's great.
Over, a Young Blood, Dark Hawk, and all the other stuff from 90s Image.
Oh yeah.
To me, Image messed up in the 90s when people like Terry Moore and Frank Cho decided to leave Image and took things like Liberty Meadows and Strangers in Paradise with them.
Yeah.
Because that was the real beginning of the Image that we have now, because those books were selling.
Right.
But they got overshadowed because people wanted Spawn, people wanted Youngblood, people wanted Supreme, people wanted all these books that had the spectacular art but no story.
Yeah, whereas Frank Cho and Terry Moore were doing really solid storytelling. Not just art and visuals, but real writing.
Yeah,
and I agree with you, and I don't blame them if they wanted to if they were leaving Image on their own accord.
And
of course, that's the thing that the comics now do the most of, and that's superheroes. Even the indies do a lot of superheroes. And in my opinion, there's not a whole lot of them that are well done or have anything new to say.
That's the whole Image approach is what drove me from that Marvel to becoming a Vertigo fan. And the artwork, some of the artwork, interior artwork, again, it's not a superhero book. That was odd for me. And sometimes the artwork was really good, and then sometimes it's very moody, setting the mood of the story more than what I would call great art. But the stories were solid.
Yeah.
And, so that's why there's big gaps in my whole Marvel and Image prehistory, the 90s history, because I didn't read any of them then, or not very many of them.
Yeah, no, I get that. And see, I'm not better, just way poorer and better matter to catch or hold me. And that's it. I think if more comic book readers were discerning like that, like I've had to become that way. There was a time I bought anything I could get my hands on. And now I'm trying to get rid of it all because it's taken up too much room.
Hence the heroin addiction.
That's right.
It's the heroin addiction of being a collector.
Exactly.
Like, I gotta have every last one of them. But I gotta be honest. I haven't read every last book in my collection. And there's some series that I have no clue what's in the books because I read maybe like 2 or 3. It's like, oh, this is pretty cool, and then I just kept getting them.
Yeah. Or it just looked good at the time, and I'm looking at a lot of 80s and 90s stuff going, what was I thinking? This is not great art. It is not moving a story through. There's no story to move, so why? And preach, boycotts are pure power. Yeah, the problem is,
unless it's Hogwarts Legacy, that backfired completely.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And the publishers have held the brick and mortar shops hostage. Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of the brick and mortar shops are letting them do it. If they would move their business model away from the monthly and the monthly pamphlet and find a way to make money off of ebooks, if they could unlock that secret sauce, I think that would help the industry a lot. But there is no way right now that a comic book shop with minimal effort can make money off of e-comics, unfortunately. And they're a thing. You can say you don't like them, and that doesn't matter. People do like them, and there's enough of them.
I feel that they can't make it off of comics in general. They have to pair it with something else. They have to, be like part comic, pop, part comic, part video game.
Yeah.
Something that catches the younger crowd's attention to bring them in.
Yeah, but
The
then
older crowd may come in, those that are diehards will still come into the store, but those brick and mortar stores is going to die when they're not getting anybody younger there.
Yeah, we are an aging demographic. I'm in my mid 60s, and I recognize I'm not going to be around to see like a lot of changes. But like you said, die hard collectors, because that's what they're going to do. And Strangers in Paradise was golden. It had amazing art. Yes, it did. And Rad Publishing, Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane carried 90s image. They did to a degree, and so
art-wise they did. I'm not debating that. They did art-wise.
Oh, those two were great artists. I love their art.
Story-wise, no, they didn't.
No.
There were better writers there at Image that they ended up letting go, or they took their IPs and they ran with it.
Yeah, that's true. And superhero fixation are what limits American Western comics versus the manga in the markets. Yeah, and the thing is, you've got a market here in America that has been conditioned to want nothing but superheroes, or to believe that there is nothing but superheroes.
That's a deeper problem. That's a deeper problem. What he's alluding to.
There is a problem if you're not doing manga, because if you're doing manga, you're probably doing it correctly. You're making your back issues available. You give people entry points. You give them, with every issue, you give them a rundown of what has happened, and you've got all your stuff inside a bookstore.
And also there's a different level of expectation.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a different level of expectation, because when I think of American comics, we have a lot of books in different genres out there, but the fixation is not necessarily with the genre and story arc, it's with the artwork. People are so set in their ways as far as this is what an American comic look like, as opposed to manga. Manga has different styles, different approaches, different formats, different everything that appeals to a little bit of everybody. It's safer to move into. You could go to like the high octane resolution stuff that you get with, let's just say, with My Hero Academia, and then you could go to super simple stuff with like a Shin-chan and stuff like that. It's like one of the story types that I like trying to emulate is the stuff from Lupin the Third.
Oh yeah,
those were great mystery type, thriller type stories to try to emulate. And I try to bring that over to American comic books. But the problem with it is, because it's story heavy, if your artwork does not grab the people's attention, and eventually you just have to chip away until the story grabs them. And when the story grabs you, that's when you know that you got a fan that's going to pick it up. But it's come back to the whole topic of the conversation. It's like that front image. It's like, I don't understand what it is about that front image. It's like you pick up a manga. It's like I go and pick up a manga. It's like I want my let's just say one of the ones that I love. Like I go and pick up my Dead Man Wonderland volume 18. I'm not looking at who draw it or who did X, Y, and Z or all this other stuff. I just want my piece of the story. I want that next volume of the story.
Right.
We're not looking at that. When we go pick up Spider-Man, whatever is at 7, whatever, we're looking at, is this a 1 in 100? Is who drew the cover? Who did the interior artwork? We never really get to story until after you pull back all those layers and be like, well, did you read the issue? It's like, no, I wanted for all this other reasons. So these publishers are seeing that. So what are they going to do? They're going to give the people what they want. They're not looking at story anymore. They can get one of the shittiest writers ever, and they put the artwork, they put whatever story that's up in there, because people are not truly reading it. And those diehards that are reading it, they're the ones that are going to drop it, and they're going to be a few in a handful compared to the thousands that's going to buy it just because of the art.
Yeah. That's true. But then again, the formatting also, I think, helps manga because it gives the story room to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have some exciting art, but I also think that the underrepresentation of genres. That's the thing, and the thing is, we have treated comics from day one as kids' disposable entertainment, up to a point where now it becomes like an investment, like an NFT or something, or a painting. Whereas Japanese, European, British, here is this great thing for you to read and enjoy. And we care about the stories, we care about the art as much as we can. And so I think it's a different expectation on the part of the consumer that basically we have programmed American audiences to expect junk while other cultures have taught their people look at the potential of what you're reading, and especially manga, because if you want something about soccer players or chess players or ballerinas, if you're interested in that, somebody has probably put out a manga of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a
Well,
little of
baseball,
that.
there's a
God bless it,
baseball
in the
manga
indie
out there.
market. There is a little indie market a subsection of it that does try to fill these gaps in, but they don't know how to market it to reach a wider audience. And they're never going to get their stuff into, say, a Barnes and Noble or a Books a Million. See, so unfortunately.
Actually, they can, but like I said, it takes a lot more work than what is bargained because of the discrimination of fans here.
Yeah, yeah.
If they
Unfortunately, a
build
lot
up
of them
a-
are
or they
running the
build-
stores too.
if they build up a fan base that's international,
Uh-huh.
you might be able to do it. But again, that's work. And that's the thing that, like I was saying on Nick's show earlier, it's like I suck at marketing, but I understand what I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and the marketing, I was on when I was on Tidbits and Scribbles the other night. I made a point about book writers not marketing themselves. They're still expecting the publishers to do it, and marketing for a lot of publishers now consists of a press release and a space in previews, and maybe if they can print up posters, they'll send one to a retailer in the hopes he'll put it in their store window. Which is kind of futile, but. So anyway, Nick Tockard says, that's why I want to bridge the wisdom of groups like this to the indie creatives. Bring them over here. Seriously, bring them over. We don't mind arguing with them and telling them where they're falling down. We're good at that. But no, it is a thing where that's another fallacy, which is getting away from the core subject. But, is the idea that, I'm going to get into previews and I'm going to make my nut there. Not indie.
No, it never worked that way. I know too many people that have been in Diamond. I have been approached by Diamond. Does it work that way? Once you get into Diamond, there's a lot more legwork that you got to do. If you're not ready to do it, you're dead in the water.
Yeah. It's true of any sort of publishing anymore, really. And Manga says Parallax Spectre has stories about everything. You like French fries? We got a story for you. You like fishing? We got that. Yeah, you like digging holes in the forest? Must believe we got that. Seriously. And that's what I do, PKM. That's what I do. That's right, man. And you sure do, brother. And you do it well.
That's
especially
why he's the master of marketing. I'm learning from him.
That's right, my God.
And if one of the person that if we do have like an open forum that I would like to have a extended conversation like this with,
sure.
And that's JD Rosario, because on JD Calderon's show, it's like I brought up a topic and he came in. And I was like, I like what you're saying. I was like, we need to hear that side too, about stop thinking small and start putting things in its proper perspective, because he was, calling me out about like me thinking too small about certain things, about like overhead and all this other stuff. It's like in the bigger picture, you're still thinking small. You have to think this leads to this, leads to this, leads to this in some form or some fashion. Yeah. So, he's another creative that I was like, you know what? A lot of people may not be listening to him, but he needs to be heard.
No, I agree.
Something that BKM said earlier, I've been wanting to share this with you guys, and And since we have writers in the audience right now, this would be writers and artists. This would be a good thing to talk about. But when I interviewed Guy Gilchrist, I had looked up some of his previous interviews, and there was a story that he told, and it just spoke to me as a creative. When he was a kid, his mom was raising their family on her own, and they didn't have a lot of money. And they were Disney reissued the Peter Pan movie. And they had a little theater in town, and he wanted to go see it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And, she basically, it was $1 to get in, but she basically didn't have $1 to take the kids and see this movie. So she came home from work, and she sat down with him, and she showed him a golden book of Peter Pan. And she said, if we went to the movie, it would cost us $1. And she went through this description of what the movie, would go in, and the lights would slowly lower down, and you'd see the stuff hanging in the air as the projector began to show the film. And for 2 hours, we would be entertained, and we would laugh, and we would experience this. And then it would live in our memories. But that's it. She said, this book is 29 cents, and it contains a shortened version of the story from the movie. And tonight, when you go to bed, before you go to sleep, I'll read it to you. And then, in a few years, you're going to be able to read it yourself. But every day, we could read it again and again and again and enjoy it over and over and over. And he goes, that's where I knew I wanted to be an artist. And to make that kind of, because she said she was right, and he goes, I love movies, don't get me wrong, but there's something more permanent about the experience of, even if it's an ebook, it's still something that you can reference again and again and again, and experience it. If the story that you're telling is a good one, and is, varieties of stories that that talk to different people's interests. So I thought it was a very European outlook of, the story is only as juvenile or, as throwaway as you make it. Mm-hmm. And I think that we should all keep that in mind as, we create and do things that, this is something that if we do it well, somebody can relive the enjoyment over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to another thing. I think comic publishers should encourage people to actually read their comics more than once. And I've grown to believe that, this just came off the press, and chances are in about 3 months, I'll probably be selling this to somebody. And, it's very well made, but some of the,
not the way you're reviewing it.
Well, point taken, Eric. But anyway, this piece of shit here. Anyway, no, not that I have I haven't read it yet. I shouldn't say that. But anyway, but no, it's like encourage people to read them instead of just sticking them in a bag, forever. Because that was one of the things that got me about comics, that you could read them over and over and over again. And as I get older, the most beautiful books
Or doing that.
Or doing that nonsense like I do. But anyway,
but I have other copies of this, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, we know that. But no, to me, the most beautiful books I've bought in the last few years are coverless.
Yeah.
Because they had the hell read out of them. Mm-hmm. And I love that. Parallax Spectre says DC has many craptacular stories. Make mine Marvel. Make mine Marvel someplace else. And Glenn B. Fleming, we love you. And telling stories has to be the third oldest thing humans have ever done. That's true.
What's the oldest, Glenn?
Rated M for Richard.
Yeah. We have that up there for a reason. That's why after hour 2 I get to say the S word. But anyway, but no, I think we stumped Glenn. Check out the Jack Kirby book directly. You can get that directly from Glenn. He's amazing. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. And The editing's awesome. Anyway, but no, but yeah, that's the thing. It's like
and Comics Unlimited on Amazon.
Yeah, that's a very, very well done magazine. Yeah, especially some of the articles.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's where I think comics need to go back and look at, instead of complaining about, I've said this for years, you hear a lot, and I hear a lot of it from the indie crowd. Like, how, why is manga, we ought to do something to prevent manga from coming into this country. We ought to stop manga. And no, you ought to sit down and figure out what they're doing right. Why they have hundreds of thousands of readers, and you're asking for $75 in your Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That's.
I wish I was only asking for $75.
Well, yeah, but you got to call it. Editing is the fourth. I feel targeted. But no, I think all of us, whether we're indie or we're in the mainstreams, need to take a look at the quality of the product we put out. And yes, I think there's room for personal expression. There's room for doing what the stories that we want to read. But keep in mind, at the end of the day, we are there for the end user, and that's for the reader. And we need to be studying what people are doing, why they've got more people reading their stuff. Is it they are marketing better? Well, what they're doing, you can do too. And whatever, do your stories need to be better? Do your layouts need to be better? Figure it out and apply it. Yes, Joe.
I just want to say this. It's like those that's up here that's saying it's like we got to stop manga. You don't want that fight. We really don't.
Oh no. I think
the fight that you need to worry about. And this is what I see at shows a lot. And you have to sit back and reflect on this. Mm-hmm. What am I not doing to get the younger crowd interested in what I'm creating?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it really the artwork? A lot of times it might not be. Is it the type of story that I'm telling? Probably so.
No, furries.
It could be because, again, it's not something that is easily figured out. Could it be your price point? Aha. Now, if it's price point, how do you get a price point that is economical for them as well as their parents? It's the next question.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing, because I feel that I have been on record on my show saying this. With the way things are going with American comics, you're pricing out new people coming in. Period.
And you have for years.
Can't come into American comics. People can still come into manga because, like you said, BKO, it's in a Barnes and Noble. It's in Ollie's and your Five Below and your big lots and stuff like that. You could get books anywhere as long as you have an ISBN number. But as of right now, you can only get comic books either from comic book shops, Kickstarters, or directly from the creators.
That is why
you find an uphill battle to try to stop them. It's like manga is worldwide, because why? They're doing things a little bit different and making it accessible to the younger crowd at a more economical fee.
Exactly.
But that's what it is in the long run.
That's why that Mike Millar nightclub book. It's a teen focused book. It's a young hero journey. It's $1.99. I think he's on to something for, I know that some of the kids that live around me, they could afford that. They could go get that. And I applaud him for, I thought it was just going to be for the introductory issue. Then it was going to go up to $3.99 like most of the others, but every issue is $1.99. And and then he gets his kids to do pitches for it when his interview shows on.
It was so charming. I loved her inflection, the thing you shared with us. I'm about halfway through the interview. That's been good too. But I'm listening to that kid and going, I want her to do my audiobooks.
Yes.
She sells it. She really does. And Glenn goes, sadly, as Eric will testify, Postal Services didn't make the list.
I go out there every day, Glenn, to the mailbox if the mail comes with my phone. So when it comes, I can take a picture with me with it. Sadly, not yet.
Parallax Spectre says we all need the manga to come show up the big boys so they can change. Hopefully, I hope they do. And Nick
They
Tucker
don't
says,
care.
yeah, pretty much. They know they've got a locked-in market. How about not killing Uncle Ben and Thomas and Martha Wayne all over again? Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
Yeah.
And hatch number 2 is almost at us, says Glenn B. Fleming, at a crowdfunder near you with a unique perk. Really, part of Glenn Fleming's DNA will be in it. So clone your own Glenn. Parallax
Ooh.
Spectre says, my cost-saving method for comic books, go back to dang newsprint and have books at $2.99. I agree. I agree. Alterna was making that happen for the longest time. And DC can do it. So can Marvel.
I don't know if he's still doing it. I know he had to switch printers, but I don't know if he found another newsprint printer or not. I haven't seen any of his books in a while.
I haven't either. I've heard he's having financial troubles.
He's got a Kickstarter going right now.
I know that he lost a lot of the IPs that was really selling for him too.
Oh, really?
That was the other problem. He lost a lot of those good IPs that he had.
That's a shame. That's a shame. And Nick Tucker continues, most manga are drawn from light novels. I think that has to do also with writing to comic scripts. Yeah. Again, like I said, that the format allows a story to breathe. I mean, I remember one of the last manga I read was about 3 or 4 years ago. It was One Punch Man. And it was like a book like this, but it is all about the prep for this one big fight. And you're getting into their heads and you're getting this nice art. You don't have to have like 6 to 8 panels on a page. You can have 1 or 2, and it can be a quick read, but you go back and you reread it again. Actually, no, I'm using the wrong hand. You go back and reread it again. Got to be accurate here. And hashtag self-promote. Amen, brother. Amen. And roar, says Parallax. And manga has a better cost-benefit prospect for customers than floppy. Yeah. And I came over to YouTube where the better picture and sound quality. Glenn, we're glad you're here. And Cindy Cap waves home from home. How you doing? Glad you're here, Cindy. CKOEPB.com. Great newsletter, great site, and great books. Get Animal Eye number 2 is now in print. Get it. So, and Nick Tucker has one more comment here. But manga is considered cooler and able to be, for adults, considered a valid entertainment media. That's true. That's part of what I was saying about how we've conditioned people to think that American comics are for kids or people of impaired intellects. Superhero floppies are seen as expensive junk genre for spoiled children and man children by the general populace, and that's true. That's an excellent point. That how many times have we heard the thing about they are like teenage, basically teenage masculine teenage power fantasies, and they're still being written and drawn like that, even though we're getting far more representation from women. We've got a lot more women scripters right now than I think we've had in history, artists, but we're still doing with the adolescent power fantasy things. Glenn Fleming says, for me, one of the main problems today is the rewriting or recasting of the characters and stories. Stop changing everything. The only changing I think you might agree with me on this. I can also see why some things change, because you kind of have to pull up your history behind you. Like, look at the FF. They were trying to beat the Russians to the moon. Now they've got all kinds of convoluted explanations for why they stole a spaceship, basically. So, but, if you're going to keep the characters at a certain age, unlike Gasoline Alley, where all the characters changed and aged.
But that's part of the problem. Progression. Nobody wants progression. Everybody wants Peter Parker to stay 16, 17.
Exactly.
Nobody wants 35-year-old Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Everybody wants 25-year-old Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Nobody wants, 80-year-old Bruce Wayne from Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
The curmudgeon and whatnot.
25-year-old Bruce Wayne with 18 wards that he's all.
There you go.
Grown up at different times.
Yeah. Yeah, and half of them are his anyway. But anyway, no, I think it's a great point, and that's why I like the one thing I think Marvel and DC are doing right now that they've been working at for the last 10 years is having a new version of a character. There's not just one Thor. There's not, because you have the guy who is the actual Thor, then you have Jane Foster. Then you don't have like the same Batman. You've got 2 different Batmans at least. You got 5 Robins and a partridge in a pear tree. You've got more than one Superman. You've got a hero for every generation. And I think that's healthy. I really do.
But
And
again,
you've got the JSA coming back. I think there's room for that.
it's room for it, but the caveat to it is that the older fans have to allow the mantles to pass.
Exactly.
And that's the real problem. It's like your older fans are really still railing against mantles passing.
They've super glued the mantle in their
nobody even reads
hands.
comics anymore. I'm sorry, Clyde, what?
They've super glued the mantle in their hands and chained themselves to the mantle and suspended the mantle from high above so that nobody can ever possibly wrestle it unless it's from their cold dead fingers.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, but
and you're right. And with social media being what it is, it's like I remember several years ago, DC did that retro thing where 70s, 80s, and 90s books. And they had like a lot of the people that worked on the 70s books do a 70s version and an 80s version. They did for Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, I think. And I thought that was absolutely charming. But I got on a board where everyone was complaining about Superman. I think it was right after New 52. He doesn't have trunks. He's a kid now. Blah, 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 blah. And, I'm not buying this stuff. I haven't bought comics in 10 years, but I'm not buying this stuff. And I said, you know what? They're doing this retro thing. If you were to buy this, go to your local comic shop and tell them you want it. Then go pick it up. That sends the message. Oh, I don't want to buy it. I want them to change it, but I don't want to buy it. Well, then guess what, Sparky? You're going to have a hard time changing things. Right, so anyway, let's see. Here we go. Glenn Fleming goes, if the change doesn't improve the idea, leave it alone. And Dr. Doom wasn't on Reed's spaceship in my FF #1. You got the wrong one, Glenn. I read the latest ones. He's everywhere. Doom is everywhere. We're all just Doom bots here. And Western comics literally need to grow up. Exactly, Nick. Exactly. Oh, you knew 52, Joe. Yeah, that was me. And I want to see 35-year-old Peter Parker dealing with a real job and family. They had that for a long time, for about 15 years. It was called Spider-Girl.
Spider-Girl, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best books out there. And
Mayday Parker.
Yeah.
Mayday Parker. Yep.
Mayday Parker. I love that. I love that character to death. And that's one of my Desert Island books. Grim Jack, Thunder Agents, and Spider-Girl.
And the Spider-Man life story. If you guys haven't checked that out, we've reviewed it before on the show, but that takes the Spider-Man mythos that we know, but Peter Parker ages like a normal person through it. And it's a really good series. And it's in TPB, so go get it.
Yeah, and Glenn Fleming says, if Jane Foster is Thor, I'm BKM. Well, I will pass the fizz on to you then, Glenn.
Glenn, like I said, BKM missed two other Thors.
Beta Ray Bill?
Beta Ray Bill. I was thinking of Beta Ray Bill, but I didn't bring him up.
And Master
Strike.
Thunder Strike.
Again, only reason I bring Masterson up because Masterson made his appearance again in Strange. Remember, he was resurrected.
Wait a minute.
Now there goes into another problem. I think comics.
What about Throg? Huh?
Throg was still.
All right, there's another one.
Throg was still older, so that doesn't count. He got turned into a frog, so that's still bonus.
Yeah, good point, though, Clay. Good point. Zero-sum hero swapping impairs the story unless the change makes sense. T'Challa's story makes sense, yeah. Thor losing powers and having to prove worthy again and again can get old, yeah. I agree with you. Nick. And yet, for decades, they yelled how corny Superman's trunks were. People suck. That's right. That's right. They hated the trunks, and then they take them away and go, where's the trunks? You've ruined my childhood. And so, if these current writers are so good, where are all the new ideas?
It can't be as bad as Power Girl and the Boob Window.
Now, the Boob Window is wonderful. If you know the story, I love the story behind it.
And with that, I must bid adieu because I need to get to Joe.
Oh, that's true. We've gone way over our time, Eric. I'm sorry. Eric, tell everybody how to find you.
Hey, follow the there we go. Link.
How long have you been doing
this? Find me there on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. I'm from World of Oz #5 will start crowdfunding in April. Another 40 pages. Going to be a bang up story. So, see you later.
All right. Thank you, Eric.
All right. Thanks.
Good luck tonight.
Right.
Take care, buddy. I thought he'd never leave. Anyway, but no. We love you, Eric. Good luck tonight. But yeah, that's a good point. New ideas. That's why the British writers were so loved in the 80s and 90s, because they brought fresh perspective.
Vertigo!
BKM just destroyed
Vertigo!
92% of Twitter. That's true. And I have all the Spider-Girl issues. Tom DeFalco. Someday I'll tell you about my encounter with Tom DeFalco. I learned more from writing in him from 20 minutes in his presence than I did in 2 years of journalism class.
Wow.
Okay. He is that good. And just reading comments about the newest phase of the MCU movies, you see how people are just wanting to be mad at something. Yeah, same with the DC stuff too. It's like people get mad because James Gunn didn't announce it when they wanted to hear it. Then they get mad because they hear what he has to say. So, and good evening, Molly Daniels. Mwah, just arrived from the evening job. Molly, how you doing, sweetheart? So good to see you. And I bought the Silver Sable one shot because I want to support actual female representation done right, and I'm broke and probably shattered from the experience.
Just be happy with the one shot, because you probably end up loving, what was it called? Silver Sable and the 6-pack.
Oh, yes.
That series was actually excellent for what it was, and a lot of people slept on it.
Yeah, that's a shame. And it lasted, even though it lasted like about 2-3 years, it was really well done. I'd forgotten. Thank you, Joe. That was good. And Glenn Fleming says, when Thor turned into frog was the day I left Thor. I hear you. And Boob Window was always there, and Wally would see. Now this is why I love it, because Leia knows the story here. Boob Window was always there, and Wally Wood kept making the boobages bigger to see if editorial would notice. And by the time they did, she was like freaking immense and could go on an indie comics cover now. So, because I'm noticing that's the trend now in indie comics. Got to have that boob art. So, and Parallax Spectre says Silver Sable in the Wild Pack in the 90s. That book was great. I agree, and I did love Silver Sable in the 6-pack. I agree. That was a fantastic non-superhero book. I always felt it was an intrusion when the superheroes really did show up. It was taking away from the more, even though you had Sandman in the group, it was taking away from the more realistic stories. Just in the same way that I really was getting tired of seeing like all the Marvel heroes pop up in Punisher.
Yeah.
Keep it a crime comic, keep it a violent crime comic, and I will be happy. But
our event, we got to have a crossover with all the characters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why if I were ever, and it will never happen, I promise you, if I were to ever get a gig with the big two, I want to take the lowest selling title and see what I can do with it. Because one, if I save it, I'm a hero. If it gets canceled, everybody said, well, it's going to get canceled anyway. Let's just get Brian something else to do because he's fun. And also, you won't be having to be press ganged into the latest big event du jour.
Yeah.
Brian wants to do his team up book with Brother Power and a character that looks a lot like Captain Action but isn't. Are we going to put him in the latest crossover? Well, maybe not so much. So, and let's see, here we go. And Parallax Spectre says, I need a few more issues to have the full run of Wild Pack. I need minions to help me organize. And endless crossovers. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. Yeah, see, that was something I was thinking about from when I was a kid. Like when Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four crossed over. That was an event.
Yeah.
When the JSA and the JLA met once every year. Yeah. That was an event. When, I remember getting like a couple issues of Superman and the Flash running their races. I'm like, I'm there. Now, how many times has that been not literally been run into the ground? So, and holy indie comic boob window burned bad.
One of the comics I read, I reread more than most, read it over and over until it fell apart. Yeah. It was a Superman. It was a Superman book where the Vigilante starred.
Yeah, the Great Beyond.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just showing these. Go ahead. Go ahead, Clyde.
The Vigilante from the 40s, cowboy hero, and Superman.
Yeah.
And then fought a werewolf. Uh-huh. And that's such an unlikely team up.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy with all the powers and a guy with no powers. And a supernatural foe that could actually hurt Superman if let it was one of those cool crossover stories that I read over and over. And I don't know, it was fairly simple, but it was like you said, that was an event for young me, and I need to get another copy of that because it literally fell apart. I read it so many times.
Yeah, or like the old Batman Sergeant Rock.
Yes.
The original team up, especially.
Yep.
And I remember also there was a Detective Comics that was boasting an enemy ace team up with Batman. And it turned out it was somebody that was like a big fan of Von Hammer, So, but it was a cheat, but it also had a story by Danny O'Neill and art by Neil Adams, so it couldn't have been too bad.
Not much of a cheat then.
Yeah, it was all right then.
Why am I always thinking about like the Battle of the Century Treasury books?
Yeah.
Yes.
Those were
yep.
to me.
You're right, Joe.
Absolutely right. And then the stories that had half an episode in 850 different series. Yes. Oh my God. So yes.
Joe, that was like a cot above everything else because I remember the ad for Superman, Batman.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, Superman, Spider-Man. And just to see them together in the same picture.
Yeah.
Was, I don't know how long I poured over that in-house ad.
Yeah.
Because it was so, and same way with those character wheels for Captain Action. Here's on one part of the pie, you got Kurt Schaffenberger's Captain America, and over here you got Kurt Schaffenberger's Superman. You never saw those characters together back then. It was just such a thing. So yeah, that's a whole other level.
Or the first time that I saw Superman and Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
That
yes.
Unlikely pairing, but it worked.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah, so new comics are crap, old comics are better. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Drive home safely.
No. There's some new comics I really enjoy out there. I'm not trying to say.
Oh no, I agree with you.
It's, and the art form has to endure and improve to. Yes, there you go.
Man.
I thought you held up a Lazarus Planet there for a second.
I'm sorry, no, I can't do that to you, Clyde. I cannot. You're right, friend.
But BKM, you're holding up Miracle Man, but look who's writing Miracle Man.
Neil Gaiman, yes. Yeah.
Self-explanatory. That's the reason why you can hold up a Miracle Man now and feel like, that holds up.
Yep.
But it's also a title that does everything right. First of all, you can't read it, but here is what's happened before. And it gives you the whole thing about the series. And it's got like a whole bunch of supplemental stuff, like the original pencils to the story. They have been reprinting the original version because the Mark Buckingham drew the script about 25 years ago. But he's become a better artist, and so he insisted on redrawing the whole thing, and it works. It seriously works. Whereas, and I know I'm gonna, and I haven't read this, but I know I'm gonna wind up, trashing this. I have no idea what's going on in here, and except I've been reading the original stories, but there is like a little bit of context page there. But most of the stories have been pretty forgettable. They look like they read more. Well, no, I can't even say. I was about to say they read more like the showcase comics of the 90s, except those were a lot better because there was editorial oversight. So, So anyway, that's my rant. Yes, it is astonished off topic, but everyone knows the Superman cardboard world speech, but no one talks about Spidey having the exact same issues. Yeah, that's true. And Clyde's book is World's Finest 214 from 1973. Yes, that's right. Story by Steve Skates, art by Dick Dillon, and I think Joe Giella.
Sounds
right.
Right.
By Julie Schwartz.
Definitely Dick Dillon on the art because.
Oh yeah.
And then the art didn't blow me away. It was just that story and the characters.
That was a good story.
Loved it.
You're right. It was just so out there, but Skates made it work. So I think he's one of the more underrated writers in the history of comics. He did a great run of Aquaman for about 4 years. That is classic with Jim Aparo. But I think we've run out of comments, and we have been on here almost 3 hours. Good God Almighty, we've had fun. But
3-hour tour.
yeah, pretty much. Still haven't made my record yet, but we can work on that. So I'm thinking, guys, let's wrap this up. We'll start with Joe. Tell everybody where to find you. Then we'll move to Clyde. Then I will take us out of here. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Joe. I did it again.
Wow.
I'm leaving.
It's not as fast the other. It's not as fast the other time where I just didn't get to say anything. But I'm Joe D. McFee. I don't have it up on my screen here, but you can reach me at Linktree with the word Silvolt. That is SILV as in Victor, B as in Baker, OLT. That has all the links to the company page for all the comic books that I produce here. My YouTube channel, which is From the Desk of a Small Press Player, plus the gaming channel, which is separate all within itself, plus all my other endeavors as far as social media is concerned here. This Saturday's episode, I'm still debating if we're going to still do more of the Primetime Saturday Night number 4, or if I'm going to actually rant, because I'm seeing more and more stuff out here. And I know that Parallax Spectre and I had talked about this a little bit earlier about what is hurting this industry more so as far as growth, as far as the next generation is concerned. And I'm seeing more and more stuff about, investment and speculation. And I'm not certain if it really needs to be brought up again. I have done a small little series dealing with investment versus preservation, but now I might need to expand some more on that. So I'm not certain which one I'm going to do more so. I might just stick to my guns and get Primetime Saturday Night number 4 done and do that as a whole, but you never know. I have at least another day to think which one I'm going to do here, but be looking forward to that coming this Saturday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern.
All right. Thank you, Joe. And Clyde Hall.
Hey, I'm Clyde Hall, and I am a self-proclaimed elder statesman of geekery. And what that means is that I've loved comic books since I could not even read them. And so in the modern day, since I've been following them for almost 60 years, when I find somebody that is interested in comics, I try to act as an ambassador, the better side of comic book collecting and comic book appreciating, and pass that on to younger people or people that are just discovering comic books. So I think in the MCU age, where we have a lot of people that are familiar with the characters now, but not the comic books, that's kind of an important function if you're going to be an elder statesman of geekery. But I do online reviews. I've done them at places like doomrocket.com, and I'm currently part of the crew at comicsbeat.com. And of course, Thursday nights here. I also write for Stormgate Press, and this last year has been bountiful. We have put out a lot of material, including I was in the anthology along with other fine writers of The Lost Adventures of Captain Hawkland.
Hey!
Yay! There's one of those other writers right there. And Tim Bruckner's Major Marjorie, if you like your space age new pulp kind of stuff. And yeah, there's a Brian K. Morris story in there too. And I'm working with two Brians, Brian Morris and Brian Rodman, on another writing project right now. I turned in another section to Brian Rodman today, who's putting it all together for us. And also Stormgate Press. This is the 4th volume of Pulp Reality, the new pulp anthology. We had Pulp Reality 1, 2, 3, 4. I have a story in each of those. You can find all these things at www.stormgatepress.com, or you can go right here and find all of the things I've written and are out there on Amazon on my authors page. So until next Thursday, don't take any wooden Lazarus planets.
He's been reading my reviews on the Comic Book Spectrum page on Facebook. And let's see here. And Glenn Fleming implores us, no, don't go. And we are missing you already. We miss you, Cindy. And I only get 9.8s. I'll be there. I'm a modern elder stateswoman. I was enjoying comics since I was 2. There we go. doing the same. I couldn't read comics at first. My parents just sat me down by the news rack to keep me occupied back in the day. But anyway, thank you to everyone on all your comments. Really appreciate it. And if you want to keep up with what I'm doing, go to risingtide.pub, where we have a connection to all of our broadcasting. You can sign up for my monthly insider information news sheet that we get it to you about the first of every month. And we have like special videos that I find amusing, sometimes helpful, always interesting, as well as what I'm up to and where I'm going to be at any given point in time. Now, this a week from Saturday and a week from Sunday, the 18th and 19th, I believe, I will be appearing at the Northwoods Mall at QuadCon. I'm going to be there for the first time. I will be there beside author Michaela Jade. And we've got some plans for a book we're putting together to help Amy and John Hale that we're very excited by, and we'd love to see you there. And you need to buy some books from us because your lives are empty without them. And also, we are promoting this GoFundMe.com/small f /love for the Hales. John and Amy Hale have had over $30,000 in medical bills that have popped up over the last 3 years. And a band of us have gotten together to try to help them get that total down so that Amy can start writing again, because she's an incredible talent. And medical bills being what they are. And we've gotten some really great support so far. We've got some other projects coming up that we're looking forward to having you all involved with. So please stay tuned. Pardon me, please stay tuned to what we're doing here. And let's see. And yay for Geeky Fun at QuadCon. Cindy, I hope to see you at one of those. I'm hoping to get one where you're near. And World's Finest Guardians of Earth looks like a review worthy of Fezman. Hey, I will take that up, Leia. I will take that up for you. And Molly Dan says, I just get here and now you're leaving. Way to give a girl a complex. We know you're here to protect everyone, so we feel safe leaving them with you, Molly. Get her books, too, on Amazon because she's wonderful. All right. And anyway, like I said, there's that there. Otherwise, come see me here. And we want to thank also our sponsors, such as our Patreon supporters, who Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can support your favorite creators directly, financially, with a modest monthly stipend. And it adds up, and it is greatly appreciated. But we give you things in return for them, such as an exclusive blog twice weekly, minimum. And we also are serializing our brand new Volcana book. And chapter 8 is almost done. We're going to post that as soon as possible. But anyway, if you want to see all the things we offer you in exchange for your support, go to www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris and see all the glorious stuff there. And we are also brought to you by Rising Tide Publications. The 10th anniversary celebration of Santa Stein will be out this spring. Followed by The Terrors at 2 years in the making, a new superhero book, and I think you're going to dig it. It's got some relevancy to today, but it's got that old-time pulp excitement written by me. And also, we want to thank Plasma Fire Graphics and Jeffrey Hayes Plasma Fire Graphics when the look of your book matters to you.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Promotional graphics, wraparound covers, or book trailers, they can do it all. Plasma Fire Graphics. Check out their indie creator-friendly pricing. You'll be amazed to buy it. I guarantee that's Plasma Fire Graphics when the look of your book matters to you, because it definitely matters to your readers. And Glenn Fleming says, see you later, fellas. Thank you for easing my insomnia. We're glad to bore you and put you to sleep, Glenn. Thank you for being here, brother. Appreciate you, man. And brought to you by the Element of Confusion and the Element of Surprise. We got plenty of that, Cindy. Thank you. CKOEPP.com. And so also, again, please check us out there for all things BKM. And also keep your eye out. We'll be having some new episodes of Clever Title Pending soon, where creatives talk about creativity and the business behind it. That'll be happening soon. We've got all kinds of stuff coming up. Keep an eye on this space, and we will be back in 1 week for another episode of Comic Book Spectrum with more discussion and more reviews. And let me get to the right page here and tell you thank you for being here. Genuinely appreciate it. And if you get a chance, if you've enjoyed any part of this, please like this broadcast and share it and subscribe if you would, please, because it helps us defeat the evil algorithms. And with that, we got to say thank you for watching. We'll see you next week, and stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week on Comic Book Spectrum.